A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. An elderly man has been beaten and robbed of a fortune in unset diamonds. The thief has made good his escape. Your job, find him. Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, July 12th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working a day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. It was 10:46 a.m. when we got to the Morgan Hotel. Room 922.
Yes?
Police officer, sir. My name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm the manager, Arnold Jackson.
Yes, sir. We're here regarding the robbery, sir.
Oh, Mr. Ruman's in their bedroom. He's lying down.
Has there been a radio unit here, Mr. Jackson?
Yes, they just went down the hall.
I see. The victim in here, sir?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jackson.
Sure.
Mr. Ruman?
Yes?
My name's Friday, sir. This is my partner, Frank Smith, Central Robbery.
Oh, yes, Captain Friday.
No, sir. It's Sergeant, Mr. Ruman.
Sergeant? I thought sure they'd send a captain.
Well, now, if you can just tell us what happened here.
Well, I brought the stones up here to show him and his father. We made an appointment. He hit me, took everything.
How much was it, sir? Can you tell us?
Everything there was, finest collection, best stones, took my sample case and everything.
What'd the case look like, sir?
Just a plain sample case, this high, about this wide.
See, that'd make it about 14 by 18, is that right?
Black leather, plain sample case.
Any identifying marks, initials, anything like that?
No, just a plain black leather case. I don't care about the bag, it's the diamonds. I couldn't come close to their value, maybe 100,000, maybe more.
Now, you say you made an appointment with him. Who is the man, sir?
Fred Roberts. I met him about 3 weeks ago at my club, having lunch with a friend, another jeweler, and he introduced us. We hit it off right away. He seemed to be a real nice fella. I can't understand it.
Fred Roberts, will you describe him for us, sir?
I'd say he's about 20 to 30. Could say he's a nice-looking fella. Sure wore nice clothes. Looked like a real businessman. Always carried a briefcase and all.
Mm-hmm. About how tall would you say he was?
Tall?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm 5'6". He's about 3 inches taller. I'd say he's about 5'9". Not too heavy. Medium build. About your size.
Now, how about his hair, sir? What color was that? Do you remember?
Brown. Straight brown hair. Might have had a part. I never noticed. He had brown eyes, too. Shouldn't be any problem. People in the hotel must know him. These are his rooms.
I'll call the office and have them get out a broadcast on the description.
All right, fine. You want to check with the other fellows, see if they've come up with anything? I'll stay here with Mr. Ruman.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Frank. Now, you'll have no trouble identifying the man, will you, Mr. Ruman?
No, sir. I'd know him. Those eyes, never forget him. I should have known from the start.
Sir?
His eyes, his shifty, little bitty things set close together. I should have known not to trust him with eyes like that.
Now, you say you met this man about 3 weeks ago, is that right?
Well, this Roberts fellow told me that he was down here from San Francisco. Said he was going into the diamond business. Said he was down here, to buy stock. That he'd heard that I could lay my hands on some fine stones, that he wanted to see what I had to offer.
I see. Did he say that he was going to buy the stones himself?
Oh, no. He told me that his father was putting up the money. He said that his father was coming down here today and that if he liked the merchandise, we could make a deal. Funny thing, though, I should have known right off.
What's that, sir?
Well, when I came up here this afternoon and showed him the stones I'd brought, he didn't know the good from the bad.
Oh, sir?
Well, in almost any collection, there bound to be a few stones that aren't absolutely perfect. They look all right, but there may be a small flaw someplace inside the stone. Naturally, their value isn't the highest.
I see, and this Roberts didn't know the difference.
No, but I should have known anyway. Those eyes, the meanest eyes I ever saw, and so close together.
Well, was there anything unusual that you might have noticed about Roberts? Anything about his speech, his manner, anything at all that might help us identify him?
No, just like I told you. Seemed nice enough.
Well, did he give you any indication that there might be something wrong?
Not at all. Of course, I wondered about his not knowing much about diamonds, but I figured that if he was willing to pay what I wanted, I didn't have to concern myself with what he's going to do with the stones.
Well, Mr. Roman, I wonder if we could start from the beginning. Exactly what happened here.
He knocked me out.
No, sir. I mean, what led up to his hitting you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, as I said, he told me to bring the stones up here for his father to see. I did, and then we waited for the father to show up. We were over there by the window looking at the stones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they look better in sunlight.
Yes, sir.
Well, when he finished, he said something about his father never being on time. I turned to look out the window. That's when he hit me, right here on the back of my head. Can you see it?
Yes, sir, I can.
Is it bleeding? Don't lie to me. I'm not afraid. Can you see any blood there?
No, sir. There's
right
quite
there?
a bump on the back there.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
You're telling the truth?
Yes, sir. There's no blood.
Joe?
Yeah, Frank.
See you a minute?
Sure. Excuse me a minute, Mr. Roman.
Sure, that's all right.
Yeah, Frank.
Called the office. They put out the description. Area's being covered.
Leighton Prince been called?
Yeah. How's Roman getting along?
Well, he's got quite an ache in his head, but he seems to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Manager says he's called a house doctor. Should be here right away.
Sergeant?
Yes, sir.
Have you caught him yet, Roberts?
No, sir, not yet. As soon as the doctor looks at you, sir, we'd like you to go down to police headquarters with us, if you would.
Of course. But you shouldn't have too much trouble catching him, not with those eyes. Real little beady.
Yes, sir.
But what do you want me to do at police headquarters, Sergeant?
Well, we want to take a full statement, have you look at some pictures, if you would.
With you two?
Yes, sir. Anything wrong?
Oh, no. But you'd figure with all those diamonds gone, that fella hitting me and all, just seems that they could have done better.
Well, how's that, Mr. Roman?
Seems you could have sent a captain.
11:15 a.m. Leighton Prince arrived and went over the rooms. Frank and I were unable to find the instrument Roman had been struck with. Checking with the desk clerk and the elevator operator, we were able to get a composite description of Fred Roberts. It tallied closely with the one given us by Roman. The desk clerk told us that Roberts had checked into the hotel that morning. We obtained a copy of the hotel registration card carrying Roberts' signature for handwriting analysis. The immediate area was thoroughly searched. The suspect had made good his escape. We contacted the victim's office and asked for a full inventory of the stolen diamonds. They were unable to give us a complete inventory at the time, but advised us that the loss would run well over $150,000. 11:57 a.m. After the hotel doctor had examined Ruman and said his wounds were superficial, we drove down to the city hall. While Ruman was looking at the mug books, Frank and I checked the name Fred Roberts and his description through R&I. We were unable to find a record on him. We contacted the stats office and requested a run on the M.O. Local and all-points bulletins were gotten out on the suspect. After looking through the mug books, Ruman was unable to come up with an identification. Further interrogation of the victim failed to turn up any new evidence. The information furnished by the stats office and other contacts yielded nothing. The investigation continued. 3 weeks went by. Tuesday, August 2nd, 8:05 a.m. I checked into the office.
Joe?
Yeah.
You're late. I've been waiting for you.
It's only been 5
Well,
minutes.
there's a lot to do here, you know.
You're in a good mood. What's the problem?
It's the in-laws again. I didn't sleep a wink last night.
Oh, what happened?
That brother-in-law, a real wise guy, knows how to do everything better than anybody else. Nothing he doesn't know.
Well, look, Frank, I'm on your side, but what's the bit here?
Remember how I told you about this place out in the valley where the steaks are so good?
Yeah, it's a butcher shop.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I stopped by last night and I got 6 of the biggest steaks I could find. Real beauties, fillets.
Yeah?
I figured on a barbecue, out in the backyard. Anyway, I get the charcoal out and the kindling and all the stuff. Right away, my brother-in-law says I'm doing it wrong.
Why didn't you tell him?
The wife, she's got to hear how they barbecue back in Sioux Falls. So the brother-in-law throws out all the stuff I'd done, and he starts all over. It took him 3 hours.
Now, what happened?
Well, he never got the fire started. By the time he let me get at it, it was too dark to do anything. He ended up in the kitchen with waffles. I had indigestion all night.
Well, that's the way it goes, doesn't it?
Oh, so. Sorry I jumped
That's
in.
all right. I don't much care for waffles for dinner myself. I get it, Frank. Robbery Friday. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. What was that address again? Okay, yes, sir. Okay, we'll check it right away. Right.
Anything?
One of our contacts is a rumble down at Jay's down in South Maine. Guy's letting it get around that he's got some loose diamonds for sale.
You see when they could be bought?
Yeah, tonight. 8:14 a.m. We signed out and drove over to Jay's bar. We met with our informant. The buy was to take place in the bar at 8:30 that night. He gave us a description of the man who was selling the stones. We checked back into the office and filled Captain Didion in on the latest developments of the case. The plan was laid out that Frank and I would stake out inside the bar. 4 other men were assigned to cover the outside of the meeting place. They would be able to be in constant communication with each other through walkie-talkie equipment. 7:43 p.m. Frank and I took up our positions at the bar. The other men were at their assigned positions. And we waited. 8:19 p.m. 3 men came in and took a table at the rear of the place. They ordered drinks and sat down and talked. None of them matched the description our informant had given us. 8:34 p.m.
Joe?
Well,
Just came in. Fits the description pretty close.
yeah, he's heading back there. Looks like he's one of the 3 guys we've been waiting for, doesn't he? What was that he took out of his pocket?
I don't know. Can't hear a thing from here either.
It looks like it's going to get louder, doesn't it?
All right, that's fine with me. I didn't ask you to buy the stuff. You can see for yourself it's good, the price is right. If you don't want to buy it, then you're wasting my time. Lousy chintzy deal. You get me here, and then you pull a deal like this? As far as I'm concerned, the buy's off. Nobody sent for you. Forget it.
Let's see him. He's got the stones. Let's take him, Frank. Go out the back. All right, hold it up, police officer.
Watch it, Joe.
All right, now stand right where you are. Keep your hands out in the open. You want to shake him down, Frank?
Yeah. Stand still, you.
What are you tagging us for? Just having a drink? What are you trying to do?
They're clean,
Oh,
Joe.
boy, got away. They'll pick him up outside.
Look, what do you want us for? Just sitting here having a drink. What are you trying to prove?
Skip it, mister. You're selling us nothing here.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Frank,
Yeah, hold still.
here's my cuffs. All right, let's go.
I'll check outside, see if they got the other one.
Yeah.
Look, you don't need these handcuffs. I'm not going anyplace. I got nothing to hide. What's this all about?
Save it, mister.
Say what? We come in here to have a couple of drinks. We're not bothering anybody. Just a quiet drink. You guys jump on us. What's the pitch anyway?
Let's stop playing games here. There was a diamond buy tonight, and you were in on it.
Diamonds? Are you kidding? Here, look at me. Do I look like the kind of a guy can afford diamonds? Not only that, but who buys diamonds in a bar? Now, look, let's get this thing squared away. Huh?
Herman and Stromo got the other one. Said they'd take him up to the office.
Anything on him?
No, dropped it while they were chasing him.
What's that?
Bag of unset diamonds.
The 3 suspects we'd apprehended inside the bar were questioned. After a brief interrogation, the suspects admitted that they had gone to the bar for the purpose of buying diamonds. They explained that it was their impression that the stones had been smuggled into the country. The 3 men were booked in on suspicion of robbery pending further investigation. The 4th man, the one who was in possession of the diamonds, was identified as Larry Fry. We checked him through R&I and found that he had a previous record of 4 arrests receiving stolen property dating back to 1946. Frank and I took the suspect to the interrogation room. He told us that he'd found the diamonds in a back alley. The interrogation continued, but we were unable to change the suspect's story. A special show-up was arranged for Mr. Ruman, the victim in the jewel robbery. After looking at the suspect closely, he stated positively that this was not the man who had held him up. However, examination showed that the stones found were part of the diamonds taken in the robbery. The suspect was booked at the city jail. A check of his residence and other leads failed to turn up any additional information. Wednesday, August 3rd, 12:40 a.m. We had Fry brought from his cell. All right, sit down, Fry.
Don't you guys ever get tired of trying?
What do you mean, Fry?
You know what I mean. Questions. Don't you guys ever get tired?
You getting tired?
Yeah, a little.
Then why don't you save us all a lot of trouble and tell us what you know?
I don't know what you're after. Believe me, if I knew what you wanted, I'd try to help.
Suppose we start again.
Anything you want. I got nothing but time.
Where'd you get the diamonds?
I found them.
Where?
In an alley.
What alley?
I don't remember.
You find 20,000 unset diamonds in an alley? You don't remember which alley?
That's right. I don't remember which alley. There's a lot of alleys in L.A.
Now with $20,000 in diamonds laying around.
True.
Then why don't you tell us where you found the diamonds?
I told you, in an alley.
What were you doing at Jay's place?
Having a drink. That against the law?
No, but trying to sell stolen diamonds is.
All right, you called it. I was there to sell diamonds, but I didn't know they were stolen. I tried to sell them, just trying to make a buck. Everybody's got to live. I told you, now leave me alone. I got enough trouble in this can with this lousy chow they throw at you. I don't feel so good, huh? Let me go back to my cell and lay down. Oh, kid, you guys ever eaten this jail food? It's terrible.
I've eaten it. It's not too bad.
You got a stomach made out of solid brass. I'd like to have the bromo concession around here. Look, I really wish I could help you guys, but honest, there's nothing to tell. I found the diamonds in an alley. Sure, I tried to sell them, but that's it. Now, you guys know if there's anything I could do...
Now, you come off it, mister. You better get this story straight. We're through playing with you. Maybe you don't know how you stand. I'll fill you in. A man slugged and $150,000 in diamonds are stolen from him. Part of those diamonds turn up in your pocket. You say you found them. I can't buy that, and I don't think anyone else will. You come in here playing like a lily, clean and white. Well, your record doesn't make it that easy to buy. That's how you stand, mister. The whole thing's right in your lap. It fits you like a new suit. Now, it's up to you.
That's the way it is?
You call it.
No other way?
None.
Yeah. Well, if I could only get some decent food under my belt and a little fresh air, I might be able to give you guys the answers.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos, the finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture, smooth, round, perfect cigarettes, rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack, carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette, with the added protection of Fatima quality.
We continued to interrogate Fry. From the evasive answers he gave us, it looked as if he was lying about his part in the robbery. When an interrogation seems to bog down, the working detective usually tries to find some subject with which to draw the suspect out, some weak point in his makeup. Maybe it's his parents, his wife, or his children. It might be the fear of having loved ones find out about the crime he's accused of committing. In Fry's case, questions about his family failed to produce any results. We tried other subjects, religion, baseball, golf, fishing. None of them seemed to bring him out of his shell. Occasionally, during the interrogation, he'd refer to the jail food, comparing it to the other food he'd eaten. As the questioning went on, we found that Fry considered himself a gourmet, talking about the dishes that he'd eaten at various restaurants. We tried to lead the questioning around to the diamond theft, but he constantly brought the conversation back to food. Fry had presented us with a possible wedge, and we decided to use it. We signed him out of the city jail and drove him down to Phillips' restaurant for dinner. When the waiter brought the menu, Fry didn't read it. He ordered soup, salad, and 2 French dip sandwiches. As he ate, we tried to get him to talk, but he refused, saying that he wanted to finish his dinner first. Frank and I each had a sandwich and some coffee. Fry continued to eat. He ordered 2 more sandwiches. Finally, he pushed his chair back and said that he'd had enough.
Now for some dessert, huh?
Dessert?
Yeah, a meal's not complete without dessert. Figure I'll have some apple pie, lemonade, and some coffee. How is the coffee here?
It's good. Now, how about the information?
You know, Friday, that's why you can eat that jail food. You don't take care of your stomach. You got to learn to relax after a meal. Relax, you'll live longer.
Well, what was that song and dance you gave us about telling us all about it? Just a gimmick to get a free meal?
I told you, take it easy. I'll give you the story after dessert.
All right, Frank.
Yeah.
Get the pie and coffee. Now, the waiter seems to be busy.
You wanted that Alamode, Fry?
That's right, Alamode. No cream in the coffee. Nice place here. They do a good business.
They've been here a long time.
Best French dip sandwiches I've ever eaten. Nice and lean, aren't they?
Yeah, they put out a good meal.
Here's your pie and coffee.
Thanks. 3 spoons of sugar?
That's right.
Coffee sure smells good. Hey, it tastes good, too.
All right, let's get on to business, Fry. Now, what about the diamonds? Where'd you get them?
From a guy named Joe.
What's his last name?
Never heard it.
He gave you the diamonds to sell. You don't know his last name?
Yeah, that's right.
Where'd you pick up the diamonds?
Didn't. Joe came by my house and left them.
What's this Joe like?
Oh, medium height, about 32, medium weight.
How about his coloring?
Medium. He's a real ordinary looking fellow.
Where'd he say he got the diamonds?
And he brought them out from the east with him. Didn't tell me where he got them back there. I think he's done time someplace.
Why'd you say that?
I just figured it. The way he talks, the way he handles himself. Got the marks.
You'd know him if you saw him again?
Oh, sure.
Think you could point him out to us?
Have you got him?
No, but if he's done time, there's a mug of him. Figures we got it. Want to look through the mug books?
Sure.
How did this Joe get in touch with you?
Called the house. Told me what time he'd be there.
When do you usually call?
Most any time. I know what you're figuring, but it won't work. This whole thing's been in the papers. He won't call me now. Too smart for that. He won't show.
How about the diamonds? Don't you think he'll be sorry about you being picked up?
So he saw. He's got no beef. He's still got 130 grand in stones. He's got no worries. Say, how about some more
No,
coffee?
you've had it for tonight, Fry. Let's go.
Oh, thanks for the meal. Sure appreciate it.
Yeah.
That jail food was killing me. You know, a good meal always makes me sleepy. Sure getting late. Hey, let's knock it off for tonight, huh, fellas? I'm bushed.
No, let's look through the mug books, then we can call it a night.
Honest, fellas, I'm so tired I can hardly see straight. Feeling like this, I couldn't be sure.
All right, Fry, we'll take you back, and we'll see you the first thing in the morning so we can get started.
Okay. Say, I was just wondering.
Yeah.
You think you could work out something for breakfast?
2:30 a.m. After returning the suspect to the city jail, Frank and I went back to the office. We were certain that Fry was in some way implicated in the diamond theft, but we didn't know just how he fit in. Frank and I signed out and went home to get some sleep. 4:45 a.m. I got a call from the business office that a man who identified himself as Joe Ashton had been picked up on a drunk charge. When arrested, he was carrying a black leather case, similar to the one taken in the robbery, containing a large quantity of unset diamonds. The man was belligerent, and other than his name, he refused to tell the arresting officers anything. I called Frank and picked him up on the way into the office. When we arrived at the city hall, the suspect had sobered up considerably, and with a little questioning, he identified himself as a jewelry salesman from Oakland, California. We contacted his employer in Oakland and received an identification on him. Further investigation showed that Ashton was in legal possession of the diamonds. During investigations, false leads are constantly turned up, and although circumstances may tend to discount them, each one has to be thoroughly checked out. 7:45 a.m. Frank and I had breakfast at Johnny Cokin's, and at 8:32 we signed Fry out of the city jail for interrogation.
You had breakfast yet, Friday?
Yeah, I just finished.
Not too bad. How about you, Smith?
Yeah.
What'd you have?
Waffles?
Yeah, I sure like some hot waffles. I didn't eat here. Figure you guys might take me out again?
What are you trying to prove, Fry? Now, let's go over and look at those mug books, huh?
Okay.
Hands behind you.
Oh, now, look.
Behind you. All right, let's go. All right, in the elevator. I'll get it, Frank.
Yeah. Sure, a nice day. Bet it's warm out.
Gonna be.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sure you guys don't want a cup of coffee?
No, I told you we've eaten. Right in the back, Fry.
Sure. Say, sure appreciated that meal last night.
That's good.
We going to City Hall?
That's right.
That way you keep the mug books?
Yeah.
Hey, no kidding, Friday. I gotta have some coffee. My stomach's growling.
All right, Fry. We'll get you some coffee. You know that whole bit about Joe doesn't ring. I'm afraid we can't buy it.
Okay, so it's a phony story, but I'll give you the right one.
Where'd you get the diamonds?
From a guy out in the valley.
Where in the valley?
Out at the Astor Studios.
At a picture lot?
Yeah.
Frank, let's head out the freeway. We're going out the valley.
Hey, wait a minute. I don't want to see him. He'll blow his top if he finds out I told you. This guy's crazy, a real nut. You better drop me back at the jail. I'll wait.
How do we know this isn't another stall?
It isn't. You'll see.
What's this guy's name, this friend of yours?
He's no friend, just a guy I met, had a business deal.
What's his name?
Calls himself Fred Roberts.
We took Fry to breakfast, and then we returned him to the city jail. We went back to the city hall and rechecked the name Fred Roberts through R&I. There was no record. Those with similar names were checked. None of them matched the description of the suspect. 11:20 a.m., Frank and I headed for the San Fernando Valley. Astor Studios was one of the older lots in town. It had been years since they'd made a picture of their own. Most of their business now was in renting stage space to television companies. Frank and I checked at the gate, and we were sent up to personnel. The company records on Roberts showed that he'd been at the studio for 4 years in the property department. According to the girl in the personnel office, Roberts was highly regarded by his employers and fellow workers. She told us that we could find him in the prop building on the back lot. Frank and I started back to see him.
That must be it back there, the big building with all the windows.
Yeah.
Sure a lot going on, huh?
Yeah, TV's using a lot of movies, I guess. Most of the good stuff's on film, isn't it?
So about all Elizabeth likes to watch is the wrestling matches with those real old movies. I don't get to see much of the new stuff. If she's not looking at some show that's 20 years old, the kids are watching a puppet show.
Well, you need 2 sets then.
I've been thinking about that show. Not that I don't like wrestling, but I'd like to see the ball game once in a while. And those news forum shows. You know, keep up with what's going on in the world.
Yeah. Looks like it here, huh? Yeah, that's him back there with the spray gun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Roberts? Mr. Roberts?
Yeah?
I'd like to talk to you, sir.
Just a minute. I got to hit this before it dries.
All right, sir.
All right, now what can I do for you?
Police officers, Mr. Roberts.
Wait
a minute. Hold still.
Who'd you say you were?
Police officers.
Oh, I'm sorry I caused you this trouble. I thought at first you were bill collectors coming in here like you did and all. You can understand that, can't you? I've had a little trouble lately. I didn't mean to cause a fuss.
Yeah, sure. We'd like to talk to you downtown.
Well, what about?
Some diamonds that were stolen.
certainly I'll go with you, but why me? What makes you think I had anything to do with it?
Just routine, Mr. Roberts. Your name came up, and we have to check it out.
More than glad to help. I hope you don't think that I was trying to run away from you before. It was just that I thought you were someone else.
All right, Mr. Roberts. You want to get your coat?
Sure. I'll have to call the front office and tell them where I'm going. I'm the only one here today.
No, we'll call them on the way out.
Fine. A lot of work. Hope this won't take long. Should I take my car? I wouldn't like to trouble you to bring me back.
No trouble, Mr. Roberts.
Sure a nice day, isn't it? Good for exteriors.
Exteriors?
Yeah, outdoor shots. Good light.
Oh, yeah.
Run into a lot of trouble if you haven't got good light. Like to take a look around?
No, I'm afraid we haven't got the time, Mr. Roberts. All right, here's the car.
Say, I don't want to tell you fellas your business, but can't we talk here? I really shouldn't leave.
No, I'm afraid not, Mr. Roberts. There's someone downtown we want you to meet.
Oh?
Yeah, a man by the name of Ruman, Sam Ruman.
You said Ruman?
Yeah, that's right.
No use trying to kid you then.
Sir?
About the diamond.
No, I'm afraid not.
How'd you find them?
That's not important. Do you have the rest of the stones?
Most of them. Some of them are up in San Francisco. I can give you the name of the man who has them. He picked up some of them. I read about it in the paper.
How about the rest of them?
I buried them on a golf course south of here. I can show you the place. You want to get them now?
Yeah, we'd like to, yeah.
We'll go over the pass and into La Brea. Straight out La Brea. I'll tell you where to turn.
All right.
Fry, he the one that told you?
You planned to rob her yourself, did you?
Yeah, I had to raise money. Funny.
What's that?
You work in pictures in any job and people think you make a lot of money. It's not true. It's like any other job. Good living, but you don't make as much as people think you do. That's why I did it.
Yeah.
Planned the thing for a long time. Figured every angle. Be able to pay off my car, all my bills. That was no gag about me thinking you were bill collectors. I've been trying to find my car for the past month. And take it away. You know how it is.
Yeah, sure.
All my life I've been working to make something out of myself. Everybody in this town seems to do okay. Money, big home, a car. 12 years I've been working as a prop man. 12 years. I got tired of waiting. I wanted all those things. I figured I waited long enough, you know?
Yeah.
What's wrong with trying to build some kind of a future for yourself? I just wanted a future, that's all.
Yeah, well, you got one.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On November 15th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 89, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, in your hometown as well as mine, more and more king-size cigarette smokers are switching to Fatima because of Fatima quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a really different flavor and aroma. They give you an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Get a pack of Fatimas tomorrow. See if you don't agree that in Fatima, the difference is quality. That's king-size Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack.
Fred Roberts was tried and convicted of robbery in the second degree. Robbery in the second degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary or in the county jail. He is now serving his time in the county jail.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this very moment in Korea, the lives of soldiers wounded in battle today are being saved by transfusions of blood and blood plasma. You can give these men the gift of life, a pint of your blood. The Department of Defense is calling for all Americans to roll up their sleeves. There is no substitute for blood. The need is urgent. The need is now. Call your local Red Cross chapter or blood donor center for an appointment. And please keep it.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Lance Frazier. Heard tonight were Vic Perrin, Herb Ellis, Vic Rodman. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Friday, hear the Mario Lanza Show on NBC.
and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Homicide Division. You get a call that the body of a dead man has been found in a vacant lot. The man has been beaten to death. Your job, investigate. Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, February 6th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Homicide Division. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Warman. My name's Friday. It was 10:14 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide. Frank?
In here, Joe.
Right. Hi. Morning, Skipper.
Joe, Smith says you ran into a bad one out there in Fountain.
Yeah, we did. Must have been quite a fight out there. The victim's clothes were pretty well torn up. The ground around the body was all trampled. Wonder we could tell that much.
How do you mean?
Well, the body was found by a couple of schoolgirls. The vacant lot out there near Fountain and Selma. Girls took a shortcut through the lot, and when they saw the body, they let out enough screams to get the whole neighborhood over there.
Mother put in the call. By the time the radio unit got there, the neighbors had walked over the whole area. They got the people back right away, but most of the physical evidence, if there was any, had been trampled out.
That helps. Any of those people see or hear anything?
No, nothing.
How was he killed?
We found a big piece of concrete near the body, bloodstains on it. The crime lab's checking it now.
Did they find anything else?
No, they're still checking the scene. Lee's going to call. Crowd may took a mess out of the place.
A lot of houses around there. Somebody must have heard something.
Well, we talked to a young girl who lives a couple of doors down from the lot. Seems she and her boyfriend were coming home from a show. Said about 9:45, 10 o'clock, they noticed a car parked in front of the lot.
Yeah.
The girl said they noticed it right away. Afraid it might be some guys out to cause trouble. She told us that when she and her boyfriend walked by, they heard loud talking, men arguing.
Mm-hmm. She able to describe the car?
Just said it was a dark sedan, late model, 51 or 52.
We checked the boyfriend. He told about the same story. He said he thought the car was a dark blue Ford.
Mm.
Well, anyway, the girl said she got scared and went right into the house. A few minutes later, they heard a car tear by. They looked up the street, and the parked car was gone.
This was around 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that's right.
That might make it about the time of the killing.
Well, we'll know better when the body's posted.
The girl or her boyfriend able to describe the men?
No soap, Skipper. All they could tell us was it looked like there were two men in the car. Said they couldn't get a good look at them.
License number?
No. The boy said he thought of taking it down, but he didn't.
Tough break.
Hanson and Cummings helped check the neighborhood. They didn't do any better. Seems like everybody in the vicinity was away for the evening.
From the coroner, Frank?
Hanson just brought this in. Guy's with all the stuff in his pockets.
Let's take a look.
Driver's license. Name's John Allen Iverson. Address been scratched. No, here it is, in the back. Had it changed. 6295 North Serrano Avenue. Height 5'9", born October 2nd, 23. Make it 28, huh?
That's right.
Weight 136, eyes hazel, brown hair.
What else did you need?
Calendar from an oil company. Blank check. A picture of a puppy. Dalmatian, huh?
Yeah, looks like it, doesn't it?
Picture of a woman.
Let's see that.
Here, wait a minute. Here's a card. Case of accident, please notify Mrs. Alfred Iverson, mother, 6295 Serrano Avenue, Hollywood 98844.
Probably her picture.
She been notified yet?
No, not yet.
Keys, comb, nail file, cigarettes, couple of slugs. Good for one play. Match folder.
Let me see that, huh? George's Pool and Snooker, Burbank Boulevard.
Yeah. Found $13.42 in his pocket. He was wearing a wristwatch, too.
Yeah, the watch looked new. It was expensive.
Money in the watch still there. Doesn't look like robbery.
No, not much. Seems the thief would have taken them anyway.
Any ideas on the motive?
Well, it's hard to say, Skipper. Could be almost anything.
Not much to go on. Lousy thing.
Yeah, and it's not getting any better.
Yeah?
We got to tell his mother now. 10:50 a.m. We called Lee Jones to see if he'd been able to come up with any new information. He told us that besides the piece of cement, his crew had been able to find little other physical evidence. Tests of the blood found on the concrete were not finished, but Lee said that it looked like the murder weapon. Although the ground around the body was fairly soft, the people in the neighborhood effectively obliterated any footprints that the killer might have left. We were faced with the old problem. The average citizen, in an attempt to be helpful, had unknowingly destroyed what physical evidence we might have found. We went by R&I and checked the name John Allen Iverson without result. 11:35 a.m. Frank and I signed out and drove to the address listed on Iverson's driver's license, 6295 North Serrano Avenue. It was a small frame cottage set well back on the lot. The yard was well kept, and as we climbed the front stairs, we could hear a dog barking in the rear of the house. We rang the bell, and the lady in her middle 60s answered the door. It was the woman in the picture that we found in Iverson's wallet.
Yes?
Mrs. Iverson?
Yes?
Police officers, ma'am. I'd like to talk to you if we could.
Well, of course. Won't you come in?
Thank you very much.
You'll have to excuse the way I look. I was in the middle of baking. What was it you wanted, officer? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't remember your name.
Joe Friday, ma'am. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you? Is it about the dog barking at night? We've tried to keep him quiet. Alarm clocks, hot water bottles, everything. He's just a puppy, though, officers. He doesn't know.
No, ma'am. It's not about the dog. It's about your boy.
John? What's he done?
Well, he's had an accident, Miss Iverson.
An accident? John?
Yes, ma'am.
Serious?
Yes, ma'am. Pretty serious.
You're sure it's my boy? John Allen Iverson?
Yes, ma'am. It's your boy.
He's in the hospital. Is that it?
No, ma'am. He's not in the hospital.
Not in the hospital? He's dead?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
John Allen Iverson? You're sure?
Yes, ma'am. We're sure.
Oh, no. It can't be. I won't let it be. John, my baby. You've got to be wrong.
No, I'm sorry, ma'am.
John dead. Go away from me. For always. Why did this have to be, John? Why?
It's always the same question, isn't it?
Yeah. How do you answer it? Frank put in a call to Mrs. Iverson's doctor. 5 minutes later, he arrived and gave her a sedative. We asked if we could talk to her, and he told us that it'd be all right if we kept the questioning brief. He explained that Mr. Iverson, John's father, had died 2 years before, and that his passing had hit Mrs. Iverson pretty hard. He said that it'd be a few minutes before the sedative took full effect and that we might talk to the woman until then. Frank and I walked into the bedroom.
I hope you'll forgive me for crying.
Yes, ma'am, we understand, Miss Iverson. There are a few questions we'd like to ask you.
How did it happen? Auto accident?
No, ma'am, he was murdered.
Murdered? Why? Who did it? Have you caught him yet?
No, not yet, ma'am. That's why we need your help.
Anything I can do? Anything at all? John murdered. Doesn't seem possible. So hard to believe.
Yes, ma'am. Was there anyone you might know of who didn't like your son? Someone who might have hated him enough to do this?
No one. No one at all. John had a lot of friends. Wasn't anybody who didn't like him. Bright and cheery, always smiling. I'm sorry. Please, I want to help. Get this over with. Go ahead with the questions.
Perfectly all right, ma'am. You like my handkerchief?
Oh, thank you. Now, what was it you were asking?
Could you tell us where your son worked?
Airplane factory out in the valley. He's an inspector. Just got a promotion, a raise. He was so proud. First rung of the ladder, he said, on his way up.
Mm-hmm. What factory do you work at, ma'am?
Webster's. They make parts. John worked the morning shift, midnight to 7 in the morning. Said there was a better chance for advancement on the morning shift.
How about girls, ma'am? Anyone special your son saw quite a bit of?
Oh, just Alice. Alice Johnston. Saw her quite a bit. He was going to see her last night. Had a date for 6:30.
Well, when did you leave the house, do you recall?
Oh, 6:15 or so. Alice just lives a few doors down the street. John was going to take her to a championship match over in Burbank.
Ma'am?
Billiards.
Oh.
John loved to play billiards. Alice liked it, too. John always said that when he got married, he was going to have a table right in the house.
Do you happen to remember where in Burbank this billiard match was going to be held?
I'm not sure, but I think John said at George's place, right on Burbank Boulevard.
Do you know if your son had a large amount of money with him when he left?
Well, he had his week's pay with him. He just cashed his check this afternoon, and then he gave me the $30 for the house. He had the rest of it.
About how much would that be?
Oh, maybe $40, $45.
How about jewelry, ma'am? You carry any rings, anything like that?
No, John didn't believe in wearing a ring. Said he'd do that when he got married. There was his watch. He had that.
Wristwatch, ma'am?
Yes, he always carried. He kept perfect time.
Mm-hmm. Did your son have a car, Mrs. Iverson?
Yes, a Ford, 1951 Ford.
What color, do you know?
Dark blue. Pretty car. He was so proud of it.
I wonder if you'd have the license number of the car, ma'am.
Yes, I think you'll find it with the phone book in the bureau. He kept all his papers there.
I wonder if it'd be all right if we got it, ma'am.
Yes, all right.
Thank you. This it, ma'am?
Yes, that's it. I still can't believe it.
Yes, ma'am.
It's going to be a hard thing to get used to, isn't it?
Ma'am?
Life without a son.
12:40 p.m. Frank and I drove back to the office and checked the license number we'd gotten through DMV. The car was registered to a John Allen Iverson, 6295 North Serrano Avenue. Legal owner, Bank of America. A local and an all-points bulletin were gotten out on the car, all occupants to be held for investigation. In the event the car was found abandoned, a stakeout was to be placed on it and homicide was to be notified. We checked the name Alice Johnstone through R&I, but there was no record on her. 1:50 p.m. Frank and I drove out to her place of employment, an unpainted furniture factory on Ventura Boulevard. We questioned the girl for a good hour, and she explained that John Iverson was usually on time for his dates with her, but the previous night he'd called to say that he'd be a little late. He called several more times and finally said that he was afraid they'd better cancel the date and that he'd call for her in the morning. She told us that she could think of no reason for anyone to be jealous of her spending so much time with Iverson, that he was the only date that she'd had for over a year. She gave us names and addresses of mutual friends to add to the list we already had to check out. 3:05 p.m. Frank and I went for something to eat. Is that all you're going to eat, Frank? Just that little salad?
Yeah, Elizabeth's got the idea I ought to cut down on my lunches. Said I'm getting too heavy around the middle.
Oh, that's too bad. Chili was good.
Yeah, it looks good. Pretty spicy, was it?
No, just right. A lot of beef.
Uh-huh. Joe?
Yeah?
You think I'm getting too fat?
No, you don't look it to me.
When a man gets in his 30s, he's supposed to look a little portly, isn't he?
Oh, I don't know, Frank. You couldn't prove by me.
Well, I always heard so. My father was pretty heavy. That has a lot to do with it.
That's so?
Well, sure, you know. It's heredity, that stuff. A lot of beef, huh?
Yeah, now look, Frank, why don't you have a bowl of the chili? It doesn't look like it's got too many calories in it.
No, it doesn't, does it? Miss? Oh, miss, could I have a bowl of that chili? Some of that coconut cream pie, too. Thanks.
Yeah, right away.
What do you figure, Joe, about the Iverson?
No, I can't figure it. If we could just come up with a motive, it might be easier. Give us some place to start.
Yeah. Young kid. Seemed everybody liked him.
It looks that way. I've been thinking about that robbery angle. His mother said he left the house with about $45, didn't she? Now, we find him, and he's only got 13 of it left. Where'd the rest go? And that watch. If anybody was going to hold him up, they'd take the watch. They could have gotten something for it.
Figure revenge? Jealousy?
I don't know. The girl said there wasn't any reason for that. Look, as soon as you finish your lunch, let's check the place he worked. The guys he worked with, maybe they can give us the answer. It's been done before.
Yeah?
Iverson. He just got a raise and a promotion. Maybe somebody thought they should have got it. Before we left the lunchroom, we called the list of names into R&I. 3:32 p.m. Frank and I drove out to the aircraft plant where John Iverson had been employed. We checked with the foreman of the shop, the men he worked with, the personnel office, everyone he came in contact with during the day's work. They all gave us the same answer, that they could see no reason why anyone would want to take his life. 4:56 p.m. The list of names we'd given R&I had come back with no make. None of the names had any criminal record. We called the county morgue and found that the coroner had posted the body and that the cause of death was listed as a subarachnoid hemorrhage due to multiple depressed fractures of the skull. Lee Jones had finished the test and was able to tell us that the piece of concrete found at the scene was more than likely the murder weapon. 6:15 p.m. Frank and I drove over to Burbank to George's Pool and Snooker Hall. It was a big place with a lot of neon over the entrance. Inside, there were about 10 tables with a row of theater chairs on each side of the large room. Just off the entrance was a small bar. Except for a man brushing off the table, the place was empty.
Hi, what'll it be? Pool, billiards, or snooker?
You the manager here?
No, I'm not. I kind of run the place, though, when he's not here. Something I can do?
We're police officers. My name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
I do. I'm Sam Howard.
Were you on duty here last night, Mr. Howard?
Yeah, until about midnight. I leave then. Sometimes when George asks me, I stay on, but I usually shove off about midnight. Why, anything wrong? I can get George on the phone.
You know a man by the name of Iverson, John Iverson? You ever see him around here?
Iverson? There's an awful lot of guys come in here. Hard to tell. What's he look like?
5'9", about 136 pounds, brown hair. Likes to play billiards, I understand.
John... Yeah, I think I know who you mean. Never knew his last name before, but he comes in here quite a bit. Always plays billiards, 3 cushion.
You see him last night?
There were an awful lot of people here last night. Had a match, pretty crowded.
Well, was he in here last night?
Well, yeah. Came in, watched the match for a while, then he sat up at the bar, had a couple of beers.
Was he drinking with anybody?
Let me think.
Yeah, he and another guy were talking it up. The other guy was popping for the drink.
You know the other man?
No, sir. Don't think I ever saw him before.
About what time was that?
Gee, it's hard to say. I was pretty busy.
It's important, Mr. Howard.
Like that, huh? Well, I'd say it was 7 o'clock, maybe 7:30. Johnny came in first. He watched the matches for a while. Then when this other guy came in, they both moved to the bar. Stayed there talking till about 9:30, 9:45. Then they walked out together.
They were together all evening then?
Yeah, near as I can tell.
What did this other man look like?
Let me think. I'd say he was maybe 36, 37, had kind of dark hair.
How tall would you say he was?
Well, about your height, 5'10" or 11. Had on a plaid sport jacket. I noticed that because I've been looking for one like it. You know, sort of Glen plaid, only with more color. Not exactly loud.
What color was the jacket?
Blue. Real rich blue. Must have cost a fellow a lot.
During the conversation, did Iverson and this other man seem to get along all right?
Oh, yeah. Even when the fellow lost the bet.
What bet?
Yeah, they had a bet on a match. The other guy lost, and he had to pay Johnny $10. Didn't have the cash, had to cash a check.
You cash it here?
Yeah, it was a payroll check. George doesn't like it when we cash personal checks. If they bounce, we have to stand the loss.
Do you think we could locate that check, Mr. Howard? Do you happen to remember the company name on it?
No, not right off. I can get it for you.
Sure.
Well, George wasn't feeling too well today, so he didn't get to the bank. Check's still in the safe.
The check was issued from the Kimberly Insurance Company and made out to Martin G. Weber. The endorsement was made by Weber with a notation of his address under the signature. We called the office and had the name run through R&I. There was no record on him. According to the information we've gotten from Sam Howard, the last time the victim was seen alive at 9:45 p.m., he was in the company of Martin Weber. Frank and I got in the car and drove out to the Kimberly Insurance Company. It was a large building on San Fernando Road. The employees were leaving the building when Frank and I got to the office of the general manager. We asked him about Weber, and he told us that he'd been with the firm for the past 10 years, starting as a runner on the floor and rising to the position of office manager. He told us further that in his entire 10 years of service, Weber had never been late or missed a day's work. However, on that particular morning, he hadn't shown up at all. We called our office and arranged for a stakeout on the building of the insurance company. Frank and I drove out to Weber's home, a modern apartment house in the North Hollywood area. We rang the bell, but there was no answer. We checked with the landlord, and he told us that he hadn't seen Weber the night before. In the company of the manager, we checked Weber's apartment. He was not there, and from what we could see, the bed had not been slept in. In further checking, the manager was able to give us the name and address of Weber's sister, a Mrs. Madge Wilson. We arranged for a stakeout on the apartment. 9:20 p.m. Frank and I drove over to check with his sister.
Yes?
Ms. Wilson?
That's right.
Police officers, Ms. Wilson. I'd like to talk to you. My name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Come in. But I thought all this had been cleared up.
Ma'am?
Well, you hear about my brother Martin, don't you?
Well, yes, ma'am. I don't think I understand.
Neither do I. It seems to me that you'd spend your time trying to find out why the man did it instead of bothering us. My husband won't like this at all. We're taxpayers. We've got rights.
Just a minute, ma'am. I think maybe there's a misunderstanding.
Nothing of the sort. You're here to talk about Martin, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
No misunderstanding at all. He had an accident. It's up to you to take care of the man who did it. Put him in jail for a long time.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Wilson. I'm not sure we know what you're talking about.
Well, this is the limit. My poor husband spends practically the whole night filling out forms, and you didn't even take time to read them. I'm talking about Martin's accident. The man who ran him down last night, put him in the hospital, broke his leg. That's what I'm talking about. I've got 2 kids upstairs with bad colds, and I haven't got time to stand around and talk to you. If there's anything else you want to know, you can talk to my husband. He'll tell you.
You say your brother was run down by a car last night, ma'am?
Yes, last night.
And he's in the hospital now?
Yes.
Now, look, we're only trying to conduct an investigation, ma'am. Could you tell us what time this accident happened and where?
All right. It's on the report, if you'd only read it.
Yes, ma'am.
Martin was on his way home last night. He stepped off the curb out on Burbank Boulevard, and this car came right around the corner and hit him. Broke his leg. Sent him to the hospital. He's been there ever since. He's there now.
What time did this happen, ma'am? Do you know?
Sure I know. It was 9:45.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos, the finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack. Carefully Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette, with the added protection of Fatima quality.
When we explained about John Iverson's death to Mrs. Wilson, she was extremely apologetic about the way she'd acted. She went on to say that her brother did have an appointment with Iverson the night before. We put in a call to Sergeant Erbson of the Accident Record Bureau downtown, and he told us that there was a traffic accident report which listed the time of the accident at 9:46, corroborating the story given us by Mrs. Wilson. Weber had been given emergency treatment at Georgia Street and then transferred to General Hospital. From what Sam Howard had told us, we knew that Iverson had been alive at approximately 9:45 p.m. The deputy coroners fixed the time of death at approximately 10 or 10:30 p.m. The fact that Martin Weber had been run down by a car at 9:46 p.m. seemed to absolve him of any part in the crime. The stakeouts at his place of business and his home were removed. Frank and I drove over to General Hospital to interview Martin Weber. His leg was in traction, but he seemed to be in good spirits.
I was on my way home, just stepped off the curb to catch a bus. Next thing I know, I looked up right into a pair of headlights. Almost scared me to death. And whammo, I was on the street, my leg broken. Oh, well, I'm covered. The whole thing won't cost me a cent.
Yes, sir. We were talking to Sam Howard over at George's billiard hall. He said you were there with John Iverson last night. That right?
Yeah, that's right. Had a talk with old John. Had a big business deal, trying to sell him some insurance.
Oh, I didn't know you were a salesman, Mr. Weber.
Well, I'm not really. Office manager. I don't like the job. Figured if I could bring in a good sale, the boss might let me have a crack at selling.
Well, did Iverson give you any indication that he wanted any insurance?
Well, not right off. He's always been worried about his mother, though. You know, if anything should happen to him.
Yeah.
Anyway, a couple of days ago, one of the pressmen out at the plant where John works was killed. Accident. I thought this might be a good chance to try to sell John some coverage. You know, life. Leave his mother a little something.
Yes, sir.
Well, old John wasn't an easy one, let me tell you. Told me he wasn't completely sold on insurance yet, and then he said he'd leave it up to the billiard match.
Sir?
If the championship changed hands, then John would buy some insurance. If it didn't, I had to pay him $10. I lost. Had to cash my paycheck to do it, too. Yeah, those are the breaks, though, aren't they? Lose a sale and then get hit by a car. So what's this all about, anyway? Why all the questions about old John?
Well, he was killed last night, Mr. Weber.
Killed? What do you mean?
He was murdered.
Well, how did it happen?
That's what we're trying to find out, sir. While you were at the bar with Iverson, did you see him talk to anyone besides you?
No, he made a couple of phone calls, said they were to his girlfriend, but that's about all. Wait a minute.
Yeah?
When we got outside the bar, there were a couple of guys that came up and talked to him.
Had these men been in the bar?
Yeah, come to think of it, they were sitting right next to us. When I had to cash that check, I didn't have a pen to endorse it, and one of the guys gave me his to use.
You ever seen him before?
No, I don't think I ever did.
Can you describe the men, Mr. Weber, what they looked like?
I didn't pay much attention to him. One of the fellows was a big guy, maybe 6 feet or more, a couple of 100 pounds anyway.
How old would you say?
Oh, maybe 37, around there. I'd know him if I saw him again.
Well, how's that, sir?
The scar, had a scar right across here on his forehead. Made him look like he was frowning all the time.
How about the other man?
I'm afraid I can't be of much help there. He was short, 5'5" or 6", heavy, 180 more or less. I think he was wearing a flannel suit. I can't be sure about that.
You saw these men out on the sidewalk with Iverson right after you left the bar, is that right?
Yeah. After I told John goodnight, I walked over to the corner. I saw these two fellows come up to John, and from what I could hear, they were asking for a lift someplace.
You gave him a ride, did he?
I don't know. I saw my bus come and made a run for it.
Was there anything else you can tell us about these men that might help? Anything at all? Any little thing you might remember?
Gee, not that I can remember. I didn't really pay a lot of attention to them. Just a couple of guys sitting next to us. One of them lent me his pen.
Well, how about the pen? With any initials on it?
No. It was the tall guy, the one with the scar. He loaned it to me. It was one of those plastic things, you know, with a figure that disappears when you turn upside down?
I know the kind you mean.
I noticed it because I thought it was kind of cute. Anyway, it was put out by a Venetian blind company. It had the name right on it.
Can you remember the name?
Let me see. Rogers. Rogers Blind Company.
All right, fine. Here's our card. If you remember anything else, we'd appreciate a call.
Sure thing. Say, you fellows going out to Rogers?
Yes, sir.
I kind of hate to ask.
Yes, sir.
You pick up one of those pens for me?
11:35 p.m. We called the office, and they told us that Iverson's car had been found abandoned up on Wonderland Drive in Laurel Canyon. It was taken to the police garage and impounded. The crime lab had gone over the car for fingerprints, and in eliminating the prints of the people known to have been in the car and friends of Iverson, they'd come up with one unidentified print. As remote as it was, the lead about the pen had to be checked out. We called the Rogers Blind Company, and the night watchman gave us the home phone number of the personnel manager. We called him, and he agreed to meet us at the plant. We gave him the description of the man who had talked to Iverson outside of the bar, and he was able to identify him as a Peter Standish, a former salesman with the company. He recognized Standish from the description of the scar, but he was unable to tell us the name of the other man. The personnel manager furnished us with Standish's last known address, but he'd moved and left no forwarding address. Frank and I went back to the office and ran the name through R&I. Standish had a record of 2 arrests on suspicion of 211 PC, one of them only a month before. Sergeants Hanson and Cummings drove out to the General Hospital to show a mug shot of Standish to Martin Weber. He positively identified the suspect as the man he'd seen talking to Iverson on the night of the murder. We checked with Dean Bergman and Leighton Prince. The fingerprint found in the car matched perfectly with the prints of Standish. Frank and I drove out to the last address on the suspect's arrest report. The manager of the apartment told us that he'd gone out a few minutes before. She told us that there was another man living in the apartment with Standish, and the description she gave tallied closely with the one we had of the man seen with Standish in the bar the night of the murder. She informed us that he was registered under the name of Charles Teal. In the company of the manager, we made a search of the suspect's apartment, but we found nothing. We asked the manager not to give any indication that we were in the apartment, and she agreed to cooperate. We settled down to wait. An hour went by, an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yes. Well, I'm getting tired of it, Teal. Every night the same thing, dragging you out of some crummy bar. You don't knock it off, I'm going to get myself another boy. Not only that, but I'm getting sick
All right,
of...
let's hold it right there.
Cops, lousy. Watch it, Frank.
All right, hold it, mister. Hold still.
Fuzz, crummy fuzz. I had to walk right into it.
How's the other one, Frank?
He's out.
Want to shake him down?
Yeah. What do you want with me, cop? I done nothing. You got nothing to hold me for?
He's clean, Joe. So's the other one.
We got plenty, Standish. Let's go.
What? What you got on me?
Murder, mister.
Murder me? You're crazy. You're off your rocker.
Yeah, sure. All right, Frank.
I'm getting him up.
Come on, boy. I told you, Standish. I told you to get him. Shut up,
All right, let's hold it right there, mister. Don't make any more problems.
It was him. He did it. I didn't want to. It was his idea. I'll tell you all about it. Should have known not to trust you, Teal. Look what you got me into. We only wanted his money. He wouldn't give it to us. Standish kept trying to hit him with that piece of cement. I tried to make him stop. He tried to stop me splitting the dough. He got more than half.
Don't worry about it.
What do you mean?
We'll split this one even.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 4th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 86, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, as we told you earlier, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. That same Fatima quality is the reason why king-size Fatima continues to grow in popularity among smokers everywhere. Try them and see if you don't agree with me. That Fatima gives you an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Next time you buy cigarettes, look for the bright sunny yellow pack and ask for king-size Fatima.
Peter James Standish and Charles Edward Teal were tried and convicted of robbery and murder in the first degree. They were sentenced to life imprisonment. They're now serving their term in the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ken Patterson, Gwen Delano, Jack Crucian. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Friday, hear the Mario Lanza Show over NBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to forgery detail. Several small neighborhood businessmen are being victimized by a check forger. His method of operation is an old one, but the merchants continue to be swindled. Your job, get him. Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, July 22nd. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of forgery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way into work, and it was 7:50 a.m. when I got to room 29. Forgery detail.
Morning, Joe.
Frank, how's it going?
Well, what'd I tell you?
What do you mean?
Well, what'd I say just last night when we signed out?
I don't know. What did you say?
You remember.
Well, look, Frank, it's been a hot night. Looks like today's going to be hotter. No guessing games, huh?
Well, that's just it. It was hot, just like I told you last night.
Well, all right. You convinced me. I don't get it, but it's okay.
Joe, I told you yesterday. Must have said it 5 or 6 times at least. Earthquake weather. That was the last thing I said to you before we went home. Earthquake weather.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I guess you'll believe me now, huh? This is what they call earthquake weather.
Well, look, we're not going to go through all that again, are we?
Well, Joe, you felt it, didn't you?
Well, sure I felt it. Everybody did. That hasn't put any more foundation under that old wives' tale of yours.
You ought to believe it now if you never did before. I tell you, Joe, in this kind of hot, muggy weather, you get earthquakes.
All right, you win. What about last July? We didn't have any then, did we?
Well, not every year, no, but that doesn't change it. All earthquakes hit in this kind of weather, Joe.
Oh, yeah, sure they do. Now, you tell them that up at Berkeley, you're going to change the whole seismograph theory, Frank.
Well, they can't tell you when you're going to get one, only how bad it was after it hits. That's what we need up there, Joe, some kind of a gadget to tell us when.
Well, why worry? You can tell from the weather.
Excuse me, am I in the right place? Is there an Officer Smith around here?
Yes, sir, I'm Frank Smith. What can I do for you?
My name's Martin Miller. I run Marty's Mart at 6th and Benson.
Beg your pardon?
Marty's Mart, little grocery store at 6th Street on the corner of Benson.
Oh, yes, sir.
Mr. Arms from the bank sent me up to see you.
Yeah, sure. This is my partner, Sergeant Friday, Mr. Miller.
How are you, Mr.
Yeah,
Miller?
how you doing?
Arms over at the B of A called just before you got in, Joe. Said he was sending Mr. Miller over to see us.
Why don't you have a chair, Mr. Miller? Here.
Joe, Arms says that somebody's forging Mr. Miller's checks.
Your personal check, sir?
No, sir, my business checks. Marty's Mart, 6th and Benson.
Let's see if we have this right, Mr. Miller.
Yes, sir.
According to Arms, there have been 7 checks passed. They were all passed last Saturday night. Is that correct?
That's what he told me, yes, sir. That's why I come down to see you, but that's not quite all.
How's that, sir?
Well, you see, as soon as I talked to the bank and I found out that somebody was forging my checks, I went home and told the wife about it.
Yes, sir.
Well, the bank tells me the man who's been doing the dirty work's a fellow by the name of Roger Theodore or something like that.
Yes, that's right. That's the way we have it here.
Oh, you know this man? You got him arrested already?
No, sir. I mean, that's what Mr. Arms over at the bank told us.
Oh, yeah, sure. I didn't think you boys would move that fast. That'd be pretty fast work there.
Now, you say there were 7 checks of yours that this Theodore has forged, is that right?
No, sir, that's all the bank knows about. The wife and I did a little detective work on our own.
Is that right?
You bet we did. Emma and me went through our checkbook, and guess what?
Yes, sir.
You say 7, me and Emma say 14.
Well, how do you mean, sir?
14, that's how it come for you.
Well, how do you mean 14?
Well, the bank's only found 7 of them, but he actually stole 14 of our business checks.
Well, you say you found that out after looking at your checkbook?
Yes, sir. Got the figures right here in my vest pocket. Let's see here. Numbers 7,020 to 7,033 inclusive. That makes 14 checks missing all told.
Well, how do you think the theft occurred, sir?
You stole them right out of the back part of the checkbook. Didn't think nobody'd find that out.
No, sir. What we mean is, how did the thief gain access to your checks? Do you leave them out in the open where people could get at them?
Well, they're in a plain black-covered book. Emma always makes out the checks most of the time. When she's through, she generally leaves them down underneath the counter in with a size 12 paper bags. That way we always know where to find it. You know, a place for everything so on.
Mm-hmm. About when do you think the theft occurred, would you know?
Well, it'll be kind of hard to tell as to the exact time.
Well, when did you say you and your wife first noticed they were missing?
This morning, right after we talked to the bank man. That's when I got the idea to go through the checkbook. Wife didn't think so much of the idea, but She found out I was right.
Well, would you have any idea at all as to who might have taken the checks? Anyone suspicious loitering around your store or anything like that?
No, I don't believe so. Em and I know most of the people around our neighborhood. But I wouldn't think any of those folks would do a thing like this.
Well, how about some transients? Somebody might have come in the store that you never saw before?
No, nobody I can recall.
You live in the back of the store, Mr. Miller?
Yeah, how'd you guess that? Say, you fellas are real good.
I was just wondering, sir, would it be possible somebody could have broken in during the night?
No, sir, not a chance. No, we could have told that.
Well, how about when you and your wife have lunch? Is it possible that you might leave the store unattended for short periods while both of you are in the back, maybe?
Say, that's right. You ever run a store?
No, sir.
Hey, George, that just could have happened, all right. Me and Emma lots of times duck in the back and sit down and grab a bite of lunch or a little cut of Tillamook cheese on a cracker, you know.
Yes, sir.
Hey, George, I'll bet that's what it could have happened, all right.
Do you figure the checks were taken in the last month, or about when, would you say?
Well, let's see. Must have been sometime during the last couple of weeks, if memory serves. That's about when we received our new checkbooks. Last couple of weeks. That must be it.
I see. Well, we want you to give the stenographer a full report of this, sir.
Here, Frank, I got the approval slip all made out. Now, if you'll be kind enough to take this slip down to room 23, the stenographer will take your report.
Oh, thank you very much.
We appreciate you coming in, Mr. Miller. We'll keep you informed of the developments of the case. Here's our card. If you hear anything, appreciate you giving us a call.
Well, fine. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
You say you'll keep me informed of what happens on this thing?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Say, maybe you better talk to Emma when you call the store. That's my wife.
Well, yes, sir. Won't you be there?
Oh, I'll be there, all right, but she'd like to have you call her.
Well, how's that, sir?
Well, it's about them other missing checks.
Yes, sir.
I told you it was my idea.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was hers.
9:30 a.m. Martin Miller went down the hall to make his report. Frank and I checked the name Roger Theodore through our files and also through R&I, but there was no record on him. 10:02 a.m. We checked with the head cashier at the bank where Miller had his checking account. The cashier was unable to let us see the forged checks, explaining that they'd been sent back to the people who had deposited them. However, he was able to give us a list of the firms that had taken in the bad checks. They were all large supermarkets in the central Hollywood area. He told us that the checks had varied in amount from $32.50 up to $78.97, and that each check was made out to a Roger G. Theodore, with the endorsement on the back of the check also by Theodore. 11:25 a.m. Frank and I drove out to a market at the corner of Franklin and Yucca. It was a big place with fruit stands along the front and large signs saying, "We never close."
Where do you think we find the manager?
Probably in the back there. These places, most of them work on one of the check stands, don't they?
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Look at those Concord grapes. You ever seen so big? Sweet, too, I bet.
Yeah.
You ever figure out some way to grow them without seeds? They got it made.
Yeah.
The seeds always get stuck in my teeth. That the manager back there unpacking those cans, see, with a badge?
Yeah, that's right. Pardon me. Are you the manager here?
Yeah, something I can do for you?
Yes, sir. Police officers. My partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
How do you do? My name's Giles, Smithy Giles.
We'd like to talk to you about that check you cashed for Roger Theodore.
Theodore?
Yes, sir. Now, according to the bank, you cashed a check last Saturday for $64.89 for a Roger Theodore. The check was drawn on the account of a Martin Miller.
Yeah, I remember now. You catch the bum?
No, sir, not yet. We'd just like to ask you some questions.
Sure. You don't mind if I go ahead with this stuff, do you? I got to get these cans stowed.
No, sir. Go ahead. Well, who cashed the check for you? Do you remember that?
Sure, I remember. Me. At least I okayed it. One of the cashiers called me over, said this guy wanted to cash a check and would I okay it. I did.
Can you describe the man?
Sure can. When that check came back from the bank, I got to thinking about the crummy deal, remembered almost every word of the conversation. Of all the lousy snow jobs, that no-good bum really dished out a Lulu.
Yes, sir. How tall would you say the man was?
Maybe 5'10", 11, about 160 pounds. Said he worked for this grocery store, this Marty's...
Marty Smart.
Yeah, that's it. Said he worked down there. We talked about the grocery business. He told me how he wanted to start a place of his own. Tired of working for somebody else. Lousy trick.
Can you give us a further description of him, sir?
Well, he was dark. Real dark. Black, wavy hair. His eyes were almost solid black. Nice-looking kid.
How old did you say he was, sir?
30, 31. Hard to tell. He was the kind of a guy who don't show his age too much.
Do you remember what time he came into the store?
Yeah, it was right after I announced the sale of day-old bread on the PA. That'd make it about 8:30 or 8:40. I always try to make it then so we won't be stuck with a lot of bread the next day. You know, get it off the shelves. It's not really a day-old, but by the time these women get through squeezing it, it sure looks like it's been on the shelves a long time.
Well, are you in the habit of cashing checks here often, sir?
We never cash personal checks. Get stuck too often. We will cash payroll checks if a guy's got identification.
Theodore have identification?
Sure, had his driver's license.
Do you have the check now, sir?
Yeah, it's in the back. You want to see it?
Yes, I'd like to if we can.
Sure thing. Hold on a minute. I'll get it for you.
Right. Driver's license might lead to something, huh?
Yeah, doesn't figure to use his real name, though.
Here it is. You see right here in the corner the driver's license number, W414626.
What was that again?
W414626. No, 26.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, see, that's it.
Yeah, here.
Thanks. There's an endorsement on the back.
Like I said, I hope you catch it, crummy bum. The dirtiest trick ever played.
Yes.
Comes in here, buys a pound of weenies, 52 cents on special, and a kosher dill. Grand total, 61 cents. Lousy deal.
Yes, sir. I wonder if we could take this check with us. We'd like to have our handwriting man get a look at it.
Sure, anything to catch that no good bum. Spend 61 cents and cons me into cashing his check for $64.89. It's not the weenies or the pickle that gripe me.
No, sir.
The thought of that guy spending $63 of my money someplace else.
Frank and I called the office and asked them to check with DMV for a make on the number of the driver's license that we'd found written on the check. 11:55 a.m., we began to canvass the other 6 stores where Theodore had passed bad checks. In each instance, the descriptions we were able to obtain varied little. All of the managers of the stores had described him as a dark man in his early 30s. In checking with the managers further, we found that all of the checks had been passed within a period of an hour and a half. From the addresses of the stores, we could almost trace the exact route the forger had taken in making his rounds. The victims all gave us the same story, that Theodore had made a small purchase, talked about the grocery business, and used his driver's license as identification to cash the check. 2:14 p.m., we checked back into the office. The teletype had come through from DMV up in Sacramento giving the particulars on the driver's license. The license was made out to a Roger George Theodore, 1082 Whitley Street, Hollywood. The description on the license, however, did not tally with the one that we'd gotten from the victims of the forgeries. We asked DMV to send a photostat of Theodore's license to us for handwriting comparison with the forged checks that we'd been able to collect. The stats office made a run for us on Theodore's M.O. The names that they gave us were checked out but led us nowhere. 4:47 p.m., Frank and I drove out to the address listed on Theodore's driver's license. It was a large brick apartment building with a white marble entrance. We didn't find the suspect's name in the mailboxes, so we rang the bell to the manager's apartment.
Yes.
Mrs. Rice?
That's right. Something I can do for you.
Police officers, ma'am. We'd like to ask you a few questions.
Police officers? Well, what's going on? Is something wrong?
No, Mrs. Rice. Just some routine questions about one of your tenants.
Oh. Well, in that case, come in.
Thank you very much.
If you're police officers, I suppose you have some sort of identification.
Yes, ma'am, we do. Here's my ID card. My name's Joe Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
I'm Violet Wright. Oh, but then you know that. Can't be too careful these days. Oh, what's it you wanted to know about? I know almost all of my tenants here. They all know me, too. Call them by their first names, and they call me Violet. I don't like formality. I never could stand it. Oh, speaking of stand, move that sewing onto the floor and sit down, young man.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Well, this is about Roger Theodore, Mrs. Rice.
Roger? Oh, yes. Well, what did you want to know about him? Him and his wife and me used to be great friends. Roger was a cartoonist, you know, worked for one of the studios in the valley. Pictures he used to draw, just beautiful. I have some of them if you'd like to see them.
No, ma'am, not right now. We'd just like to know if Mr. Theodore lives here.
No, his wife moved out about 6 months ago. I'd have to get the rent receipts to be sure, but I think it was about 6 months ago. Moved down at the beach. Took it pretty hard, you know.
Yeah.
He took it pretty hard. Mrs. Theodore was so sudden.
What's that, Mrs. Rice?
When Roger died 6 months ago.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos, the finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette. with the added protection of Fatima quality.
The apartment house manager, Mrs. Rice, went on to tell us that Roger Theodore had caught a bad cold and that it had developed into pneumonia. She told us that his death had been very sudden and that his passing had hit his wife very hard. We questioned her about the other tenants in the building who were friendly with the Theodores, but she was able to add little information to what we already had. The description she gave us of Theodore matched the one we'd gotten from DMV up in Sacramento, but bore little resemblance to the one we'd obtained from the supermarket managers. She gave us the address of Mrs. Theodore's beach house. 7:12 p.m., Frank and I drove up to the residence, a small white house built out over the sand. The paint was peeling off of the shutters, and a window box in front was full of dead geraniums. Mrs. Theodore was a tall woman in her late 20s. She asked us in, and we talked to her. She kept looking at the clock over the fireplace.
What time have you got, Sergeant?
7:18, Miss Theodore.
Seemed it was earlier than that. Now, what was it you were asking about Roger?
Well, we were wondering if you could tell us how his driver's license could have been used as identification by someone else, ma'am.
No, I haven't the slightest idea.
Do you have his private papers, Mrs. Theodore?
Yes, most of them. They're in a strong box at the bank in town.
Would his driver's license be among those papers, perhaps?
I don't remember. I think so, but I can't be sure. It seems to me that I put them in the box. Just a minute.
All right, fine.
Just happened to think it might be in here. I put some of his things in here. Papers I didn't think were too important.
Yes, ma'am.
Here's his draft card, club membership card, some of his personal business cards. See, he drew a caricature of himself. He was very clever about things like that.
Yes, ma'am.
It's to me that I've seen his license someplace. No, it's not here.
Well, where did Mr. Theodore keep the license, ma'am?
He used to keep it out in the glove compartment of the car. Of course, I knew I'd seen it just a few days ago. It's in the glove compartment. That's where it is.
I wonder if we might see it, ma'am.
Surely. What time have you got, Sergeant?
At 7:20?
Thank you. It's turning cold all of a sudden.
Yes, ma'am. Fog's coming in.
We usually have it this time of year. Days have been so nice. Warm. That's funny.
What's that, ma'am?
I was sure it was here. Saw it just the other day. Now it's gone. And the other things, too.
Gone, ma'am?
Yes, the driver's license and the Social Security card. They were both in a little celluloid folder. Kept them together in here. It's funny.
Was it possible that you might have taken them out of the car?
No, I have no reason to. I hardly ever use the glove compartment. No, I'm sure they were here.
Well, maybe you picked something else up and the license came with it?
Maybe. Look through my purses. I might have picked them up.
Okay, fine.
To warm up a little, I'll build a fire tonight. Understand where that license might have gone. Have to ask Lloyd.
Lloyd?
Yes, I met him a few weeks ago on the beach. He came down to swim. We got to be very good friends. Kind of half expecting him to call tonight, but he would have called before this if he's going to. I'll get my purse.
Fine, thank you.
I'm sure, though, it was in the glove compartment the last time I saw it. Lloyd might have seen it when he borrowed the car.
He borrowed your car?
Yeah, last week. He said he was having his overhauled. I wasn't using mine, so I told him to take it. Very nice. Are you sure your watch is right, Sergeant?
Yes, ma'am. What day was it Lloyd took your car?
Last Friday or Saturday, one or the other. Nope, it's not here. I just don't know where it could have gone.
What does this Lloyd look like, Mrs. Theodore?
Lloyd, he's a nice-looking boy. Dark hair, dark eyes. Nice-looking boy.
About how old is he, ma'am?
Well, I never asked. I'd guess 30, 31.
Lloyd. Well, what's his last name, ma'am?
Stratton. Lloyd Stratton. Why are you asking all these questions about him? Has he done something? Is that it?
Well, we don't know, ma'am. Do you know where he lives?
Someplace in Hollywood. I don't know the number. He hasn't got a phone. I called information once. They didn't have a listing.
When was the last time you saw him, ma'am?
Monday. He came down to take a swim, and we talked. He must be mistaken, officers. He couldn't do anything dishonest, I know. Or the last time he was here, he was a little short of cash. I offered him $50 to tide him over. He didn't want to take it, but I insisted. I didn't have enough to do it.
What's that, ma'am?
He wanted me to cash his payroll check.
We questioned Mrs. Theodore further, but she couldn't add anything to what she'd already told us. She was unable to give us the names of any of Stratton's friends, his relatives, or tell us where he might be employed. 7:46 p.m. Frank and I drove back to the office. We ran the name and description of Lloyd Stratton through R&I. They came up with several possible suspects. In the process of elimination, we were left with one name, Lloyd Stimpson, who had as one of many aliases the name Lloyd Stratton. His description tallied closely with the ones we'd gotten from the victims of the forgeries. His record showed him to be a two-time loser on parole from San Quentin at the present time. He'd been convicted both times for forgery. In checking the suspect's handwriting card, Don Meyer was able to tell us that the writing on the checks and the exemplars of the suspects were the same. We obtained mugshots of the suspect and drove out to check them with the victims. 9:22 p.m. We got to the market at the corner of Franklin and Yucca Streets, the manager's office.
Mr. Giles? Yes? Oh, you're the officers who were here this morning. You caught the guy yet, the one who forged that check?
No, sir, not yet. We'd like you to look at some pictures, if you would.
Of the guy? You got pictures of him? Figures if you had pictures of him, you'd catch him.
Well, we think we know who he is, Mr. Giles, but we'd like you to check these pictures just to be sure.
Fine, glad to help. Can I get that bum?
Yes, sir. Here are the pictures, Mr. Giles.
Good. Hey, sit down here and get this stuff off my desk.
All right, fine. Now, just look through some of them, sir, and see if the man is there, if you would.
Yeah. Spread them out here. I'm playing solitaire. Look at that one. Mean-looking fellow, real criminal type. No, that's not him. No. Wait a minute.
Yes, sir?
This one. Right here. He's the guy. He's the one who cashed the check.
You sure, Mr. Giles?
I'm positive. That's him.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
It's all right, officers. Glad to help. This fellow, Theodore.
His real name's Stimpson, Lloyd Stimpson.
Yeah, well, this Stimpson, he done this sort of thing before?
Sir?
Forged checks.
Yes, sir. He's been convicted twice.
How about that? Lousy thing. I wonder what he tells his friends when they ask.
What's that?
About his work. Probably tells them he writes for a living.
We checked with the other victims of the forgeries. We were able to get 3 more identifications of the suspect. The rest of the people involved couldn't be reached at the time. We contacted the suspect's parole officer, and he gave us his last known address, and he said that he'd give us whatever assistance he could in apprehending Stimpson, alias Stratton. In checking the address furnished by the parole officer, we found that the suspect had moved a week before and left no forwarding address. A local and an all-points bulletin was gotten out on Stratton. There were still 7 checks to be accounted for, and none of these had been reported to us as having been forged and passed. In addition to the local and the APB, we got out a special circular giving the description of the suspect, his picture, and a sample of the forged checks. It was distributed to all supermarkets and check-cashing agencies in the area. We requested that if the suspect attempted to cash one of the checks, forgery detail be notified at once, and, if possible, that he be delayed until we could pick him up. Since none of the checks had been reported since the previous Saturday night, it looked like the suspect might be waiting until the coming weekend to get rid of the other checks he had in his possession. During the following 3 days, we ran down several leads on the suspect, but none of them panned out. Saturday, July 26, 8:40 p.m. I got back to the office after seeing the one remaining victim.
That you, Joe?
Yeah. I just checked that place out on Melrose.
They making?
Yeah. Said Stratton was the guy that hung the paper on them last week.
Well, that's it then. All 7 of them check out.
Yeah. All the managers said they were positive. None of them had any doubt. Oh, it's hot out.
Yeah, hot and muggy.
Let's not go into that again, huh? Any word?
No, Joe, everything's quiet.
If we figured it right, Stratton should make a try tonight, huh?
Figures he will, but I don't know, Joe.
Yeah?
Maybe he's figured the deal. Maybe he planned to hit them all one weekend, then leave town.
It's possible. If he got away with it once, chances are he'll try it again. I'll get it. Forgery, Friday. Yes, sir? Where? Yes, sir. What was that address again? Yes, sir. We'll be right out. All right, let's hustle it. Mark it out on Primrose. Stratton? Yeah, he's there now. The call had come from a large supermarket in the Hollywood area. From what the clerk had said on the phone, Stratton had made several purchases and then tried to cash a payroll check drawn on Marty's mark. The clerk had recognized him immediately and called us. When we walked into the market, one of the clerks motioned to us from a front counter.
Over there, Joe.
Yeah, there's no one at the stand.
Maybe he wouldn't wait.
You the cops? I made the call.
Yes, sir. We're police officers. Where is he?
Back there by counter 25. And I told him it'd be a few minutes before I get the check okay. He said he'd look around. Maybe find something else he wanted.
Do you have the check?
Yes, sir, right here. You can see it's the same kind as the one on the circuit.
Yes, okay, sir. Thank you.
There won't be any trouble with it. I mean, getting him out of here.
Well, that depends on him.
I'll go around the counter, come up from the back.
All right. Mr. Theodore? You Roger Theodore?
Yes, you the manager here? I don't see what the problem is. It's a payroll check. If you don't want the business, there are other stores I can go to.
No, police officer, Mr. Stratton. I want to talk to you.
Certainly, but there's some mistake. My name's not Stratton, it's Roger Theodore.
No mistake, mister. Let's go.
No!
What? Watch it, Joe.
All right, hold it up, Stratton.
Watch that cart, Joe.
Outside.
Get in the car, Joe.
All right, hold it up, Stratton. Stay where you are.
Don't shoot. Don't shoot. I won't try anything. Don't shoot.
All right, out of the car, mister.
I'll shake him.
What's this all about? What are you trying to prove?
He's clean, Joe. Hands behind your back.
Want to check the car, Frank?
Yeah.
You won't find anything. There's nothing to find. A few groceries, that's all. Must be some kind of mistake.
No, I don't think so, Stratton. Frank, what do you got?
Looks clean, Joe. Just checking the seat covers.
You sure you got the right guy? You keep calling me Stratton. I told you my name's Theodore. Look, get my driver's license out of my pocket. It'll tell you who I am.
All right, let's come off it. We know who you are. We got your record and a dozen people to identify you.
Joe?
Yeah.
Found these under the seat covers in the back. Checks from Marty's mark.
So what? No law against having a few blank checks, is there?
Only when you try to cash them.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 21st, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere. In Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness and a really different flavor and aroma. That's right. Fatimas are distinctive. In king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack.
Lloyd Harold Stimson, alias Lloyd Stratton, was tried and convicted of 7 counts of forgery. He is now serving his term in the state penitentiary. Forgery is punishable by imprisonment for a period of not less than 1, nor more than 14 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, lightning starts a few forest fires every year. But careless people cause many, many more. This shameful waste of one of our greatest natural resources weakens America. This holiday weekend, if you picnic or camp out, please be careful with fire. Be very sure your campfire is really out before you leave it. Remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, Cliff Arquette, Virginia Gregg. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Friday, hear the Mario Lanza Show over NBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A young man walks into your office and tells you that his best friend has been killed by unknown assailants. Your job? Investigate. Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, August 9th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Warman. My name's Friday. It was 7:58 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide. That you, Frank?
Yeah, morning, Joe.
Looks like it's going to be a scorcher today, doesn't it?
Yeah, nice and clear.
How'd the weekend go?
Lousy.
Why? What do you mean?
Oh, Fay and me had a ruckus Saturday night.
Oh, that's so?
Yeah, it happens every time we have somebody over for dinner. Never fails.
Yeah.
She gets to yakking it up with the company. We never eat till 10:30. It's a miserable time for dinner.
Yeah, it's pretty late at that.
Saturday night we had the Johnsons over. Going to play a little cards, have a little dinner. You know, relax.
Mm-hmm.
Wife fixed Swedish meatballs. They're on the stove. Everything's dandy. She gets to talking. We finally sit down to eat. It's 10:15. Meatballs are burned.
Yeah.
Well, that time we were all so hungry we lost our appetite. It was real embarrassing, Joe. We finally sat down. I figured I'd let Fay know I was pretty sore. But I didn't want to come right out and tell her in front of the Johnsons, you know.
Yeah, I understand.
So I picked up one of the meatballs that was burned. Said she'd invented something new. Everybody else used chlorophyll for their teeth, but we had built-in charcoal.
Yeah. What'd she say?
Nothing. Just a look. Hasn't said a word to me since. Sends the kids with messages for me. It's pretty miserable.
She'll probably be over when you get home tonight.
Pardon me.
Yes, sir?
It's the homicide department where you report a murder?
Yes, sir. That's right.
You the fellas I talked to about a murder?
Yes, sir. Come on in. Sit down. Take that chair over there.
Thought I'd never make it.
Are you all right?
Yeah, now that I'm here, it's all right.
Your face is pretty badly cut there. Those bruises, scratches on your throat. You sure you're all right now?
Yeah, I'm all right. I never thought I'd get here. Times I was ready to quit, but then I'd think of Kevin, what they did to him. I had to keep walking. I had to. For Kevin, I had to.
Well, everything's all right now. You can tell us about it.
I don't know where to start.
What's your name, young fella?
Bruce Hamilton.
All right, Bruce. I'm Joe Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Hello, Bruce.
Oh.
Well, we know that you must have been through a terrible ordeal, but you can tell us about it. It's all right.
What day is today?
It's Monday the 9th.
Monday. And it was Saturday night. Just 2 days. Seems like 10 years. We just finished dinner, sitting around the fire having coffee, trying to figure out whose turn it was to do the dishes. Then we heard them.
You heard them? Who's that?
Horsemen. Lots of them. They rode right into the camp. One of them yelled something, and they all stopped. Stood there looking at us. We didn't know what to do, who they were. We just stood there. Then this big guy, I guess he was the leader, said something to us in Spanish. We couldn't understand him.
All right, go ahead.
You see, Kevin and I go to school together. Summer vacation, we decided to go down to Mexico and do a little prospecting. That's the reason we were there.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
We just stood there and looked at him. Big guy said something else, and then they all laughed. And he got off his horse and came over to Kevin and me. He was a big man. When we tried to tell him that we didn't know what he was saying, he laughed and turned to the other men, and they laughed too. Big guy said something else to him, and they all got off their horses and started to go through our things. Kevin told them not to and started to walk over to him to stop him. The leader hit Kevin and knocked him down. The men laughed at him, and Kevin got up and ran toward one of them. Kevin started to hit him. I broke away from the one that was holding me and ran to help Kevin. The big guy grabbed me and hit me in the face, knocked me down and started to kick me. I heard a shot. When I looked where Kevin was, he was all doubled up, holding his stomach. He hollered at me to help him. Then the guy shot him again. He fell down, didn't move. They all laughed, thought it was a big joke. I got up, one of them shot at me. I started running. I ran as fast as I could. He kept shooting. Thought sure they'd hit me, and I kind of waited for it. Then I ran through some bushes, and I fell into this gully.
Mm-hmm.
When I hit the bottom, I just lay there and didn't move, almost afraid to breathe. Guess they thought they'd kill me.
I see. What happened then?
I waited until I couldn't hear them anymore, and then I crawled up out of the gully to see if they were gone. I wanted to help Kevin. I didn't see anybody, so I walked over to where he was. He was laying on his face. You got no idea how I felt when I turned him over.
Mm-hmm. All right, we understand. Go ahead.
I knew right away he was dead. It shot him in the stomach and in the chest. Shirt was all stained. There was nothing I could do for him. Nothing anybody could do. I looked at him for a long time. Guess I cried. It was terrible. Kevin was dead, and there's nothing I could do for him.
I see. What'd you do then?
I buried Kevin. I looked for something to dig the grave with, but they'd taken everything, even the shovels. Everything. I found a place under a tree and dug a grave with my hands. Then I went back and got Kevin. Laid him in the grave I dug and covered him up. Said a prayer for him. I did the best I could for him. Best I could.
All right, son. Try to take it easy. Frank, let's get him some water. I'll take him down to the interrogation room, all right?
All right.
Bruce, maybe you'd like to go down the hall to another room. It's a little more quiet down there, huh?
Yeah. Sorry. Crying like a kid. I guess you think it's silly, but I can't help it.
Oh, it's all right, Bruce. We know how you feel. Nobody gets too old to cry. Go ahead. No, it's down this way.
Okay. I'm so tired. I'm glad to get this over with.
Sure. All right, here we are. Go ahead, Bruce. Want to sit down?
Thanks.
Here's a glass of water, Bruce.
Thanks. Tastes good. Helps.
All right. Now, is there any more you want to tell us?
Well, there's a little more. There was nothing I could do. I looked around. They'd taken everything. Dishes, food, supplies, clothes. I went over the mesquite bushes where we hid in our duffel bag. We kept all our money and papers in there. Wallets, identification, all our valuables. They'd found that. It was gone. They hadn't left anything.
Well, they took everything. Didn't leave a thing, huh?
Not a thing.
What'd you do then?
Started to walk. We parked our car just off the highway, and it was about 5 miles. When I got to where we'd parked it, the car was gone. I didn't know what to do. What could I do?
All right.
I started to walk to Ensenada to tell the police. Then I began to think that the bandits had taken my wallet. I didn't have any identification, no way to prove who I was. Couldn't even speak the language. Got scared that they might not believe me.
Now, you walked all the way from Ensenada to the American border, is that it?
That's right. I walked all Saturday night, and Sunday morning I found an old adobe house, and I crawled through a window and slept. I don't know how long I was asleep, but it was dark when I woke up. I started to walk again. I walked all Sunday night, too. When I got to the border, I was afraid to go through the gate, so I went down by the riverbed and found a hole in the fence. I crawled through and went over the American side. When I got there, I felt better. Safe. I figured that I'd go up to the first policeman I saw and tell him what happened.
Did you notify the authorities down in San Diego?
No, I got to the police station, but I didn't go in. I didn't tell them.
Why not?
Like I said, I didn't have any way to prove who I was. I had no money. My wallet was gone. My clothes were all torn. Face was all cut. I thought it'd be better if I could get to Kevin's mother. If I could see her and talk to her, she'd know what to do. I hitched a ride. I wanted to go to San Francisco. Truck driver brought me this far. While we were driving, I thought more and more about what I'd say to Kevin's mother, how I'd tell her he was dead. Then I knew I couldn't do it. But I had to tell somebody. That's why I came to see you.
Now, Bruce, we're going to have to go back down to Mexico. You'll be able to show us where the body is, won't you?
Well, if I have to go, I guess I can. But I can tell you exactly where it was. I can give you a map, tell you right where he's buried.
Do you want to give us that information now?
Yeah. It was south of Ensenada, 40 miles down the new paved highway.
South of Ensenada, 40 miles. You sure it was 40 miles?
Yeah. While we were driving, Kevin and I kept trying to figure out how many kilometers to a mile. I kept watching the speedometer. was just 40 miles when we turned off the paved highway onto a little dirt road.
40 miles?
Yeah. There's a clump of trees near there in the gully. You can't miss it.
I see. Can you give us the description of the car, the license number?
Oh, I don't remember the license number, but the car was a 51 Ford sedan, dark blue. Car belonged to Kevin. I never paid any attention to the license.
Mm-hmm. That's K-E-V-I-N, Kevin, huh?
Yeah.
Now we can check that through DMV. What was Kevin's full name and address?
Kevin Allen Bradley. He lived at 6502 Washington Street, San Francisco. He lived with his mother, apartment on Nob Hill.
Mm-hmm. Would you give us a description of Kevin?
Well, he's about my size, generally. 5'10", 140 pounds, blue eyes. His hair's light, kind of blonde like mine, 22 years old. We looked a lot alike. Kids at school used to think we were brothers sometimes.
I see. Joe, we better get a communication to the Mexican authorities, fill them in on the whole thing. Tell them we're coming down.
Yeah.
Contact San Francisco and let them handle that end of the thing. Mm-hmm. Get a teletype off the DMV in Sacramento, get a license number on the car. We better contact the San Diego PD and get a hold of Al Gate and fill him in on the thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll stay here with Bruce. You want to take care of that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, look, young fella, would you know these bandits again if you saw them?
I might not know some of them, but the big guy and the one that shot Kevin up, I'll never forget them. The big guy was tall, heavy, over 6 feet, well over 200 pounds. I'll never forget him. That laugh when he killed Kevin. When he laughed, you could see he had 2 gold teeth right here in front. These here.
2 gold teeth, huh?
Yeah.
Now, how about the other man, Bruce? Did you get a good look at him?
He was a small man, dark like the leader. He wasn't wearing a hat. Real thin face. His clothes were all dirty, and his pants were torn around the bottoms. He was wearing those leather sandals, the open kind. His feet were filthy, like he hadn't had a bath in a year.
You think you'd be able to identify any of the others?
Well, I don't know. Maybe if I saw him. I was scared, and I don't mind admitting it.
Joe?
Yeah, Frank.
I stopped by R&I before I went on with the other communications. Checked the name Kevin Allen Bradley through.
Yeah.
There's a teletype from San Francisco dated July 13th. It's a missing person report on Kevin. You want to read it?
What's it say? Regular missing report?
Well, it's described as male, white American, 22 years, 5'10", 140 pounds, blonde, blue eyes, fair complexion. Time of disappearance was wearing a dark blue gabardine suit. Driving a dark blue 1951 Ford, license number 1 Robert 2951. Nothing else, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
He's known to be carrying a sum of money in excess of $1,500 when he disappeared.
$1,500? That's a lot of money, isn't it?
Not to Kevin. He was used to carrying that kind of money. See, his folks were pretty rich. He always had all the money he wanted.
Oh, I see. Well, how about this missing report here, Bruce?
What do you mean?
Well, didn't Kevin's mother know that he was going to Mexico?
Well, no. You see, they had an argument about where he was going to spend his summer vacation. She wanted him to go to Canada, and he wanted to come down here. One afternoon, he just took off. Kevin went to the bank and got the money and just took off.
He didn't tell his mother anything about it?
No, he thought that she'd try to stop him. Probably would have, too, if she'd known.
Oh, was the money among the things that were stolen from you?
Well, yeah. It was in Kevin's wallet in the duffel bag.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose it was kind of foolish to leave that much money just laying around, but we did. We didn't think that anything had happened like this. I stop and think back over it. Kevin being dead, I don't know, I just get sick.
Now, you say you didn't have any money. How did you get along?
I didn't think much about food. The important thing was to tell somebody about Kevin's being killed. That's all I thought about, telling somebody.
Yeah, sure. Well, you must be pretty hungry then. You'd like something to eat now, would you?
Yeah, it might taste pretty good. Sandwich and some coffee. How about you guys? You gonna eat?
Frank, how about you?
Yeah, after I get communications off, I'll run across the street and pick up some sandwiches and coffee and bring them back here.
All right, fine.
What kind of sandwich you like, Bruce?
No, anything. Doesn't make any difference.
Joe?
Oh, ham's all right. White bread, a lot of mustard.
Okay, I'll be right back.
All right.
Oh, say, Joe, I'm running kind of low on my allowance. I only got $1.50. You got a little change?
Yeah, sure.
Now, here, let me get this.
What's that?
Huh?
Did you say you had some money?
Well, I have got $10. $10 bill.
Well, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought you said the bandits took all your money. Did I get it wrong?
Well, what I meant is I didn't think I had any money. I found this 10 in my pocket just before I walked in here.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Look, you can see it's all wadded up. It must have been in my pocket for a long time. Just a 10 all wadded up.
Yeah, well, it's all crumpled up there. You can hardly tell what it is, can you?
Yeah, that's right. But you can see it's a 10.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. It's all wrinkled up. You can see how I missed it.
Yeah. I'll tell you, why don't you put everything in your pockets right here on the table, huh?
Why? What'll that show?
All right, come on, boy.
I haven't got anything in my pockets.
Well, you found the 10. Maybe you'll find something else.
All right, but I don't know what it's going to show. Pocket knife, handkerchief, comb. You got the 10 on the table there. That's all.
Maybe there's something in your coat pocket.
No, I don't carry anything in my coat pockets. Stretches them.
Well, you take a look anyway, huh?
I told you I don't use them. See? Nothing.
How about the inside pocket?
No. There's nothing there.
Let's have a look, huh?
I told you there's nothing there.
Then you won't mind if we have a look.
What's that you got there, Bruce?
That's my wallet. Guess they didn't take it after all. Gee, thanks for finding it. No, I probably wouldn't have thought to look for it. I just figured that it was gone. Here, let me have it.
Let's see what's in it, huh?
Well, just some cards, personal stuff like that. Nothing you'd be interested in. I forgot all about it. I feel pretty silly. I didn't even know it was there.
Take a look, Joe.
You say this is your wallet, is that right, Bruce?
Yeah, it's mine. I told you it's mine. How about letting me have it, huh?
There's quite a bit of money in here, Bruce.
Huh?
I don't know. Just a glance here. Looks to be about $1,000, doesn't it?
Well, just a minute. I think I can explain that.
There's another thing here I don't think you can explain.
What's that?
The name in the wallet. Kevin Bradley.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette, with the added protection of Fatima quality.
With the finding of Kevin Bradley's wallet, the case had taken a new turn. We continued to question Bruce Hamilton, but he insisted that he thought the wallet and the money had been taken by the bandits when they killed the Bradley boy. While I talked to him, Frank went down the hall and contacted the Mexican authorities and gave them the information. He gave them the description of Kevin Bradley and of Bruce Hamilton. They told him that to the best of their knowledge, there were no bandits operating in the vicinity, but they would dispatch a search party to go over the area. They said they would keep us advised of any developments that might arise. Frank also contacted the San Francisco Police Department and gave them the information. They said they'd take care of that end of the investigation. 11:47 a.m. Frank came back to the interrogation room, and we continued to question the Hamilton boy.
I told you all I know. I don't know how the money got there. I was as surprised as you were. I don't understand it. You gotta believe me.
Yeah, well, you're making it pretty tough to believe, Bruce. It's kind of hard to buy the fact that over $1,000 in Kevin's wallet turns up in your pocket, and you don't know how it got there.
But it's the truth. I don't know how I can convince you that it's the truth.
Well, there are a couple of other things that aren't clear here.
What? Tell me. I'm not lying. I've got nothing to hide. What's not right? Tell me.
Well, this business of not telling the authorities.
I told you I was scared that they might not believe me. You can understand that, can't you?
Well, maybe up to a point.
I thought that if I could get to Kevin's mother, then she could take care of it. I didn't know what else to do. Then when I got to L.A., I had a chance to think about it, and I couldn't go through with it. I couldn't tell his mother. I couldn't face her.
Bruce, when you described where we could find the body, you said it was about 40 miles down the paved highway, that right?
That's what I said.
Well, how long has it been since you've been to Mexico?
Well, I told you I just came back from there. Don't you believe anything I've told you?
Well, Joe and I just finished an investigation down in Mexico. Investigation took us about 70 miles south of Ensenada. We found the highway paved for only about 5 miles south. You say 40 miles. How do you explain the difference?
Well, maybe I was wrong about the distance.
Well, you're pretty sure when you first told us about it.
Well, maybe I made a mistake.
There's something else, Bruce. It's a little hazy here.
I told you I want to help anything.
How far south of Ensenada did you say you were?
I said about 40 miles. Now I'm not sure.
But you are sure that it was south of Ensenada?
Well, yeah.
And Kevin was killed on a Saturday night?
That's right.
And you started for the States right away?
That's what I said. I started walking as soon as I found the car was gone.
And you walked all the way to the border?
Well, that's right.
How'd you walk? What route did you take?
I told you I stayed off the road. I was afraid of the bandits coming back. I walked along the roadside and then through the hills. I got off the roadside whenever I saw anybody coming.
But you did walk all the way?
Yeah, that's right. All the way from Ensenada to the border.
And it took you how long?
Oh, Saturday night and Sunday night. I got a ride in San Diego in the morning.
What time do you figure that you started for the border?
Maybe 11:30, midnight. I don't know for sure.
And you stopped at dawn?
Well, yeah, I stopped and slept. Then I woke up and I started to walk.
And you're asking us to believe that you walked over 100 miles in less than 14 hours. Is that right?
Yeah.
Through country like that?
What do you think? That I'm making the whole thing up? Look at my face, my back. Here, look. Does this look like my imagination?
You could have gotten these in a fight with Kevin. Maybe he didn't want you to take the money.
You keep talking about the money. I try to tell you I don't know how the money got in my pocket. I don't know anything about it. You think I killed Kevin, is that right?
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it?
But he was my best friend. I had no reason to kill him. He was my friend.
Now, look, son, we better get this thing straight for you. You've opened up a can of beans here. You waltz in here and give us a cock and bull story about this killing. Parts of your story we can't buy. Why are you trying to sell it to us? You lied about the road. You lied about the money. The story about how you walked doesn't ring true. You want to know what I really think, Bruce? I think the whole thing's a lie. From start to finish, a lie. Now, let's come off it. Who killed Kevin Bradley?
I don't know. I don't know.
Now, get this straight, Bruce. Did you kill him?
Huh?
Did you kill Kevin Bradley? Is that the reason for this story?
No, I didn't.
Well, somebody did. Can you tell us who?
You're getting me all mixed up.
You're the one that's getting it mixed up, Bruce. We just want to know who killed Kevin Bradley.
We think maybe it was you.
Looks like it might have been.
No, it couldn't be. Leave me alone. I didn't do it.
Why couldn't you have done it? Looks like you did.
Because Kevin Bradley isn't dead.
What's that?
He was never killed. I'm Kevin Bradley.
The boy broke down completely and admitted that the whole thing was a hoax. He said he hadn't been in Mexico at all, but that he had spent the past week in a downtown hotel working out the story that he planned to tell us. He admitted that the wounds were self-inflicted. He explained that he had scratched his own face and hit himself with a rock to produce the cuts and bruises. He went on to say that he had picked Mexico as the scene of the false killing because he thought the story would be more difficult to trace. Like many citizens, he was unaware of the close cooperation between American law enforcement agencies and the Mexican authorities. We asked him about the existence of a Bruce Hamilton, and he told us there was such a boy in his class at school. 12:50 p.m. The communication had come through from San Francisco, and the teletype said that Mrs. Bradley was en route to Los Angeles to aid in the investigation. When we told Kevin about this, he lapsed into silence, and for another hour refused to say anything. 2:05 p.m.
All right, now look, boy, you've been sitting there for an hour and you haven't said a word. If there's something you want to say, well, listen.
There's nothing to say. I tried to get away from her. All my life she's told me what to do. I tried to tell her, but I couldn't. Nobody would understand. You don't, you can't. Every time I tried to get away, she'd say something or do something, so I couldn't leave. I was trapped, and I didn't know what to do. Then I thought I did know, and even that didn't work. I thought that if you told her I was dead, she'd forget me. Leave me alone. I can't even die right.
Kevin, you're here. I knew what they told me was wrong. I knew you were all right.
Hello, Mother.
What happened to you, Kevin, darling? Your face, your clothes. Oh, my poor baby, how did this happen? Are you all right? Oh, your poor face all cut. What's happened, Kevin?
It's all right, Mother.
No, it's not all right. I don't know what happened or who did this awful thing, but I'll take care of it. Officer.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you know about this?
I beg your pardon?
What do you know about this? Did you do it? Did you hit this poor boy? Look at this poor face. Just look at it. It's terrible. That's what it is. It's terrible. I need to find out just what happened here. I'll get to the bottom of this. No, don't you worry, Kevin, baby. Mother's here. She'll take care of you.
Mother, please.
It's all right, honey. Everything will be all right.
Mother, these officers had nothing to do with it.
Of course not. If you say so, Kevin, baby. Have you called the doctor about this? Have you gotten in touch with someone to take care of his face? Never mind. I'll take him to a doctor. I'll look after him. Poor baby. Mother will look after him.
Mother, please don't.
Now, Kevin, you know that Mother knows what's best. Mother will take care of him.
Stop it. Shut up.
Kevin.
I'm sick of it, tired of it. For 20 years, as long as I can remember, you've taken care of things. Did you ever think I might want to take care of a few things myself? Have you ever thought that I wasn't a kid anymore? I'm an adult. Like it says on the missing report, male, white American, 22 years, an adult.
All right, take it easy, son.
No, I've tried to say this before, and I've never had the nerve.
I've got it now, and I'm going to finish. I'm tired of having you make all the arrangements for me. I'm going to have dates with girls that I want to go out with, not the ones you pick for me. I'm going to get a job and make my own way. I'm going to buy a car, and if I smash it up and me along with it, it's my business. I'll never forgive you for what you've done. You spent 20 years making me an outsider, always on the fringe. I couldn't do the things I wanted to, only the things you wanted me to do, only the things you thought best. I'm sick of having you make the decisions for me. From here on in, I'm going to make them myself. I tried to kill Kevin Bradley for no reason. You killed him a long time ago. Take a good look at me, Mother. Take a good look and see what you've done. I hate the sight of you. I hate everything about you. Now leave me alone and go away.
All right, take it easy, boy.
It's all right, officer. I understand. Sometimes he gets like this. He doesn't mean it. I know him. All right, Kevin. I'm sure the officers are impressed. Dry your eyes and we'll go home. Do you hear me, Kevin? Stop this foolishness, I said. We're going home.
Yes, Mother, I hear you.
I'm sorry, officer. Embarrassing. I don't know why he does these things. He's always been pretty emotional.
Yes, ma'am.
There's nothing else. We better be going. I want to catch the early train back to the city. It's a party planned for tomorrow night. A million things to do. You'll have to help Kevin. Kevin, do you hear me?
Yes, Mother, I hear you.
Well, then say goodbye to the officers and let's go.
Goodbye, Mr. Friday. Mr. Smith. I'm sorry this all happened.
Yeah, so are we, son.
I tried, Sergeant. Just didn't work, but I did try.
Kevin, let's go. I don't want to miss that plane.
Yes, Mother.
Oh, Sergeant.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for giving my boy back to me.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 9th, the matter was taken before the city attorney for a decision. In a moment, the results of that decision.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, if you're planning a trip this coming holiday weekend, I'd like to suggest that you take Fatimas along with you. Get a carton or two, and that way you'll have enough to last the trip. In Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness and a really different flavor and aroma. You get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. That's king-size Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack and carton.
In the interest of justice, there was no complaint filed against Kevin Allen Bradley. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, Edwin Bruce, Sarah Selby. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Friday, hear the Mario Lanza Show on NBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. You get a call that a man has had a heart attack, fallen and fractured his skull. It looks like an accidental death. Your job, investigate. Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, September 4th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 10:46 p.m. when we got to 2102 West Francis Avenue. The front door.
Yes?
Miss Prater?
Yes, that's right.
Police officers, ma'am.
Oh, yes, of course. Come in.
Thank you. Well, I'm Sergeant Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do?
How do you do, ma'am?
How do you do, Mr. Smith? Won't you sit down?
Yes, thank you very much.
Doctor said you'd be here. Guess he told you about the accident.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if there's something you want to know, I guess I can tell you about it.
Mm-hmm. Your husband's full name was Alfred Kenneth Prater, is that right?
Yes, Alfred Kenneth.
I wonder if we could go in, Miss Prater.
Yes, it's in the dining room.
Yes, ma'am.
We just finished dinner, and Alfred got up from the table, said he wanted to see the ball game on television. Excused himself and got up, then all of a sudden he put his hand on his chest and started to stagger. Said something about his heart. Asked me to help him.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Well, I jumped up to go to him. He just crumpled and fell. With his head on the table, the lay there didn't move. The doctor said his skull might be fractured. That's what it might have killed him.
Did you call the doctor right away?
No, I stayed with Alfred. My mother called Dr. Adams. He's her own doctor. When we got here, poor Alfred was gone.
I'll try to take it easy. Dr. Adams, he's the one that called us.
Yes, he said he would. Something about a death certificate. I didn't understand it.
Well, Miss Prater, maybe you'd like to go into the living room.
Yes, please.
Can we get you anything? Glass of water, anything?
No, I'll be all right. It'll just take a minute.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Just a few more questions. Did your husband have a history of a bad heart, any trouble like this before?
Not that I know of. He never said anything about it. He used to work awfully hard, long hours.
Has your husband been under the care of a physician?
No, never was sick. Had a doctor, but we used to live. Since we've been here, we haven't had any need for one.
Your husband ever give you any indication there was something wrong with his heart?
No, if there was something wrong, Alfred would have said something about it. We had no secrets, told each other everything. Married 14 years, never had a single fight that amounted to anything. Wonderful husband. Woman couldn't ask for anything more. Good provider.
Well, who was here when your husband had the accident, ma'am?
My mother, she lives with us.
She here now?
Yes, she's in the next room lying down. In a trying time, officer.
Yes, ma'am.
All those years, Alfred and me. When Ray was born, he's 9 now. Happy family. All the neighbors used to tell me how lucky I was, but I knew it. I knew it. Now it's all gone.
I wonder if we could speak to your mother, Miss Prater.
Yes, of course. I'll get her. Sergeant?
Yes, ma'am.
She's 55. Hasn't been too well lately, and this whole thing's been quite a shock for her. I'd appreciate it if you'd be as brief as possible.
Yes, ma'am. We understand.
Mother? Mother, are you awake?
Yes, dear. What is it?
Well, there are 2 officers out in the living room. They'd like to talk to you.
What about?
It's about Alfred.
Alfred, what about him?
I just wanted to ask you some questions. Nothing wrong.
I'll tell him I'll be right there.
All right, dear. I'll be right out upstairs.
All right, thank you, Miss Prater.
Can I get you something? A cup of coffee or something?
No, not a thing, thank you.
No, ma'am. Thank you very much.
If you don't mind, I'd like to make a pot of tea for Mother and myself.
Yes, go right ahead.
Do you want to come out in the kitchen? We can talk while I put the water on.
All right, ma'am.
Did you call the coroner, Frank?
Yeah, Joe, before we left the office. Should be here in a minute now. Have to get a sketch of the room before he removes the body.
Yeah.
Ray's the one who's going to suffer for it.
How's that, ma'am?
Poor little kid. He and his father were great friends. I don't know what he's going to do when he really knows what's happened.
Well, doesn't the boy know about it yet?
Yes, he was here when it happened, but I don't think he realizes yet what it means.
How old did you say he was, ma'am?
9. 9 last month.
Where is he now, Miss Prater?
He's in his room, asleep. Here's Mother now, officers. Mother?
Yes, dear.
Mother? This is Mr. Friday and Mr. Smith,
From the police. My mother, Mrs. Atkins.
Hello.
How do you do, ma'am?
Ellen says there's something about Alfred?
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
I don't see any need to call the police. Accident, that's what the doctor said.
Well, there's no death certificate, ma'am. We have to look into it. It's just routine.
Mrs. Prater told us pretty much what we want to know. We'd just like to get your side of it.
Sure, I was there, you know. I saw it all. He got up from the table, said he had a heart attack. Well, he wasn't fooling me.
I beg your pardon?
He wasn't fooling me. I knew. Heart attack. Fooey.
I don't understand.
He was drunk.
Mother.
Well, I still think he was, and you ain't going to change my mind.
Had Mr. Prater been drinking?
No. Well, he maybe had a drink on the way home from work, you know, to relax him a little.
Mm-hmm.
Relax him. There was no trouble relaxing him. Big thing was to get him off the dime. Laziest man I ever knew. I told her not to marry him. I was against it all the time. I knew his type. Out carousing around. Hanging around in bars. And he'd come home and take it out on poor Ellen and little Ray.
Mother, please. Alfred was my husband. He's Ray's father. He's dead. Find a little forgiveness in your heart.
That's all I'll find. A little. Officer, I'm not afraid to say what I think. I didn't like him. I never did. As far as I'm concerned, he was no good. Drunken bum, that's all he was. He hated me. He never did like me. Regretted every mouthful of food I ate. Never was too quiet about it either.
Mother, that's not true. Alfred never regretted having you here with us.
Well, that's what you say, and I know different. He might have died from a heart attack, all right. But if he did, that was that cheap liquor brought it on. Got up from the table, staggered around, and fell. Well, you say it was his heart, and I say he was drunk. Just plain drunk.
Well, how about it, Miss Prater? Had Mr. Prater been drinking enough to make him fall, do you think?
Certainly not, officer. You'll have to excuse Mother. She doesn't mean what she's saying.
I do, too. If you're going to call me a liar, I'm going to my room. When you're sorry about what you said, you can call me.
You'll have to forgive her. She doesn't know what she's saying.
Yes, ma'am.
My father died when I was very young, Sergeant. That was all Mother had. Guess she never did think any man was good enough for me.
I hate to do this, Mrs. Prater, but there are some questions we have to ask for our report if you'll bear with us.
Of course, I understand.
You said his full name was Alfred Kenneth Prater, is that right?
Yes.
What was his age?
36. Birthday's November 22nd.
How about his physical description?
5'11", 167 pounds. Front door. You mind answering it?
Not at all, ma'am. I imagine it's for us anyway. I'll get it, Joe.
Ms. Prater, we'd like to get this straight. Just your mother, your son, and yourself were present when this accident occurred, is that right?
Yes, just the three of us. The water's ready. You sure you don't want a cup of tea?
No, ma'am. Thanks just the same.
How about the other officers?
No, I don't think you'll want any either. About your boy, Ray, Miss Prater.
What about him?
You said he was asleep?
That's right. We put him to bed right after the accident. He was so close to Alfred. They were great friends. Thought it might be best if he went back to sleep. You want to see him?
Well, probably better if he sleeps right now. We can talk to him in the morning if we have to.
I'd appreciate it if you could, Mr. Friday. He's just a boy and all this. You know.
Surely, ma'am. We understand.
Deputy Coroner Joey's taking care of the body.
Well, what about Jessica?
They're going to take Alfred now.
Yes, ma'am.
Will he be? Can I go along? Poor Alfred.
There's no need for it, ma'am. There'll be an inquest after the autopsy. We'll give you a call about that. We know how you feel, ma'am. We don't like to intrude at a time like this, but it's one of our duties, there being no doctor in attendance at the time of death. Meantime, if there's anything we can do for you, here's our card, and you let us know. Anything at all.
Thank you very much. Michigan 5211.
That's right, that's right. Station 2521.
All right, Mr. Friday. Terrible thing. Can't hardly believe it. Alfred dead. Terrible. Officers.
Yes, ma'am?
I hope you didn't take Mother seriously about Alfred drinking. I know she didn't really mean it.
Well, don't worry about it, Miss Prater. We understand.
Don't forget to call us if there's anything you need.
I won't. Good night, Mr. Friday, Mr. Smith.
Good night, ma'am.
That's one for you, huh, John?
Yeah.
Even when he's dead, his mother-in-law won't leave him alone. Must have been a real pleasant life.
It's been rough on his wife, too. Huh?
Hey, you.
Joe, you hear that?
I think I did over there by the window, didn't I?
Yeah, there's somebody there.
Well, did you call us, son?
Yeah. You cops?
Oh, that's right. Is there something you wanted?
Yeah, I'm Ray Prater. Something I wanted to tell you.
All right. What is it, son?
About my father. I don't want Mom to hear me. She'd be sore if she knew I told you. I'm supposed to be asleep.
What's that, Ray?
I've been sitting here listening to you talk to me. She told me she'd tell you, and she didn't.
Tell us what, Ray?
Maybe I shouldn't tell you. Mom said she'd take care of it. I just don't know what to do. I tried to think of what Dad did. He always said if there was something wrong to find a policeman and tell him.
All right, son. What is it you want to tell us?
About Dad. Just before he fell and hit his head, he was finishing dinner. He
He drank a glass of milk and put the glass down on the table and he said to Mom, "This milk tastes bitter." Just like that. This milk tastes bitter. I tried mine, but it tastes all right.
Now, go ahead.
Well, a little bit after it, he got up from the table and he fell and hit his head.
Did your mother hear him say that about the milk?
Yes, sir. She was right there.
Well, why'd you say that you didn't want your mother to know that you talked to us, Ray?
Because when I asked her about it, she said for me not to tell anybody. Mom said that if I told anybody, he wouldn't believe me. He'd be mad at me. I sat here and thought about it, and if she didn't tell you, I thought maybe I should. Is that wrong, mister?
No, son, that's not wrong.
Hope it's all right. Is it, mister?
What's that, son?
Are you mad at me?
Before we left the house, the incident looked just like another natural or accidental death. However, with the boy's story, it seemed possible that it might be something more. 11:56 p.m. Under the pretext of getting additional information for our report, Frank and I went back into the house. We talked to Mrs. Prater for another hour. It was possible that the boy's story about the glass of milk was his imagination, but it had to be checked out. While we talked to her, we had to be careful not to let her know that we'd seen or talked to little Ray. We noticed that the dishes from the evening meal had been washed and put away. We commented about this, and Mrs. Prater said that she'd done the dishes to keep her mind occupied while she waited for us. Frank and I asked her about her husband's insurance policies, and she gave us the name of the company that had written them. We asked if she and her husband had quarreled much, and she told us that in 14 years of marriage, they hadn't had one serious argument. During the conversation, we gave her every opportunity to tell us about Mr. Prater's remark concerning the glass of milk. She didn't mention it. Until we received the results of the autopsy, Frank and I figured we'd better wait before questioning her further. 12:34 a.m. We got back to the office and signed out. The next morning, we put in a call to the insurance company to check on the husband's policies. The deputy coroner said we'd have the results of the autopsy by noon. Thursday, 11:20 a.m.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. All right, sir, thank you. Yeah, that's right, Smith, 2521. Thanks again, bye.
Anything?
The insurance company says when they wrote the policy on Prater, there was nothing wrong with his heart.
Yeah.
Good-sized policy, Joe.
Yeah.
$25,000 double indemnity in case of accidental death.
Who's the beneficiary?
His wife. The guy at the company told me that Mrs. Prater called last week, wanted to know the premium on a larger amount.
Mm-hmm.
He gave it to her and said they'd like to send a salesman over to the house to talk to her and her husband. She said it wouldn't be necessary. She'd bring him down to the office. They haven't heard from her since.
$50,000. Sure good enough motive, isn't it?
Yeah. Funny about the kid, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Figuring what his father said about the milk might have meant something. Must have been a tough decision for the little guy to make, whether to tell us or keep quiet.
I get it. Homicide, Friday. Yeah, just a second. All right, go ahead. Oh. Okay, thank you. Abernathy at the coroner's office just finished the autopsy.
Anything?
Yeah. Considerable amount of poison in the victim's stomach.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette, with the added protection of Fatima quality.
The finding of the poison in the stomach of Alfred Prater had definitely ruled out natural or accidental death. There was still the possibility, however, that he'd taken his own life. The story given us by the Sun made this unlikely, but still within the realm of possibility. 1:15 p.m., Frank and I arrived at the Prater residence.
Yes? Oh, you're the officers who were here last night. Won't you come in?
Thank you, ma'am.
anything more that you wanted to know? I think I told you everything last night.
Well, something's come up, ma'am. It kind of changes things a little.
What's that?
Well, originally, ma'am, we thought your husband's death was natural or accidental.
You mean now you don't think so?
No, ma'am, he died of poison.
No, it can't be. There's a mistake someplace.
No, afraid not, ma'am. Wonder if we could sit down. A few questions we're going to have to ask you.
Yes, of course. This is quite a shock, officers. I don't know what to think.
Yes, ma'am. Did you tell us what you had for dinner last night, what your husband ate?
He ate the same things all of us did, nothing different.
What was that, ma'am?
Green salad, macaroni and cheese, bread and butter, and a pudding for dessert.
You all ate the same food, is that right?
Yes, what are you trying to say? Do you think that I poisoned Alfred?
We're not trying to say anything, Mrs. Prater. Your husband died of poison. We're trying to find out why.
Just a minute. Mother? Mother, can you come out here a minute? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Your husband have anything to drink with his dinner, ma'am?
Of course, water, then coffee after dinner. He always has a couple of cups of coffee after dinner.
Now, all he had with his dinner was water, is that right?
Yes, just water.
You ever drink anything else with his dinner? Milk, tea, maybe a glass of beer?
Oh, milk once in a while. Last night we only had enough for Ray, though. Just one glass. As for beer, Mother'd raised such a fuss, I don't think Alfred wanted to go through it. No, if he wanted beer, he drank it at the bar down the street.
Well, you're sure, though, that last night your husband only drank water with his meal, is that right?
Yes, I told you, just water. Why all this harping on milk? What are you trying to say? What are you getting at? Mother, are you coming out?
That's all the ruckus about. Can I even take a nap in peace?
These officers just told me that Alfred's death wasn't accidental, Mother.
Not accidental? Nonsense. The doctor said it was an accident. What more do you need? Got drunk and fell down, broke his head. Of course it was an accident.
Well, afraid not, Miss Atkins. Your son-in-law was poisoned.
Poisoned? How?
That's what we're trying to find out.
I seem to think that maybe I did it, Mother.
You? Why, that's ridiculous. Why would she do it?
Well, there was quite a bit of insurance, for one thing.
You've been nosing around, haven't you? So there was a little insurance. What does that prove?
It was more than a little, ma'am. $25,000 worth. Double indemnity clause makes it $50,000.
And that brings up another thing, Miss Prater.
Yes?
The insurance company says that you called them and wanted to raise the amount of the policy. Is that right?
Well, yes, I did call him, but Alfred told me to. Said he wanted to provide more for me and Ray.
Anyone hear your husband say that he wanted more insurance?
No, we're not in the habit of discussing our private business around other people.
Other people learn to keep their noses where they belong. The world would be a better place.
Miss Atkins, I wonder if you could tell us what you had for dinner last night.
But that is the limit. I just told you what we had. Isn't that enough? Come in here and you ask a lot of questions. Poor Alfred's not even buried, and you come in here and upset me.
Well, we're awfully sorry, Mrs. Prater, but we have to find out. That's what we're paid for.
It's all right, Ellen. We've got nothing to hide. Answer their questions, and then maybe they'll leave us alone.
But I told them that we don't know anything about it. I told them.
All right, honey. Now, calm down. Now, dinner last night. What you wanted to know about?
Yes, ma'am. Just what you had to eat.
Macaroni and cheese. Little salad and some pudding Ellen made.
Nothing else?
Bread and butter.
How about something to drink?
Water. Good, clean water.
Ray drink water, too?
No, he had milk.
Mr. Prater drink milk?
I told you.
We'd like for your mother to tell us, too, ma'am, just to keep the record straight.
I think he might have had some milk to drink. I don't remember special.
No, he didn't, Mother. Remember when I poured the milk for Ray? I said there wasn't enough for anyone else. Just one glass for Ray. That's all there was. Don't you remember?
Well, no, I don't. But if you say it was that way, then I guess it was. You got no reason to lie. Ever occur to you officers that maybe Alfred took the poison himself? Ever think of that?
How's that, ma'am?
Well, didn't you tell him, Ellen? About how he used to moan around the house saying he couldn't stand it anymore?
What's this, ma'am? Your husband ever talk about taking his own life?
Yes, I didn't want to bring it up, but now I suppose I'll have to.
Yes.
Alfred was pretty depressed. He felt that he wasn't getting any place in his job. He felt that at his age he should be farther along. Times he'd get real low, say he wasn't going any place. I did my best to make him feel better. Guess it didn't do any good.
Well, did he ever say he was thinking of taking his own life?
Yes, several times. I laughed him out of it, and things would go along quiet for a while, and then something would happen that would set him off again.
Well, how is it that you didn't tell us about this before, ma'am?
Well, I didn't think it'd prove anything. No reason to drag skeletons out of the closet.
You satisfied now? You happy? Now you know about Alfred, maybe you'll leave us alone.
Is your son here, ma'am?
Yes, he's out in the yard playing. I'll call him if you have to talk to him.
I'd like to very much, ma'am.
All right, I'll get him.
And before you go, Miss Prater.
Yes?
Do you keep any poison around the house?
Of course not. I'd be afraid that Ray might find it.
Nothing at all? Nothing for rats, gophers, anything like that?
No. Never been bothered with rats or mice. There aren't any gophers around. No, Sergeant. There's no poison in the house.
Well, you wouldn't mind if we looked around, would you? Maybe your husband bought some and he didn't tell you about it.
No, go ahead and look. I know you won't find anything. Alfred and I had talked about keeping anything around that Ray might get into. I don't recall ever having bought any poison, and I'm pretty sure Alfred didn't.
Well, we'll take a look later, ma'am. It's all right. Now, if we could just talk to your son.
I'll get him. Ray? Ray, come in here. No, right now. You'll be right in, Mr. Friday. I hope you won't say anything to upset him.
Yeah, Mom? What do you want?
These men here'd like to talk to you, son. They're policemen.
What do they want to talk to me about? I haven't done anything.
We know that, Ray. Just have a couple questions for you.
This is Mr. Friday and Mr. Smith, my son Ray.
Hi. Pleased to meet you.
You bet. Wonder if you could tell us what you had for dinner last night, Ray?
Dinner?
Yes, son.
Well, Mom fixed macaroni and cheese. We had that.
Mm-hmm. Anything else, son?
A salad. I didn't like it. Then we had some pudding for dessert.
What'd you have to drink, Ray?
Milk.
What'd your father have? Ray?
I don't remember too well. You better ask Mom. She'll tell you.
I told you, Mr. Friday, only Ray had milk. His father drank water.
Ray?
That's right, Mr. Friday. Dad drank water. Nothing else.
It was apparent that Mrs. Prater didn't know Ray had talked to us the night before, and we were reluctant to involve the boy any more than was necessary. We searched the house and the garage, but we found nothing that could have been used to poison the husband. We obtained samples of Ellen Prater's and Mrs. Atkins' handwriting. We canvassed the drugstores in the immediate area. None of the druggists we talked to could remember selling poison to a woman answering either description. We contacted the office, and Sergeants Gill and Cenas and Danny Galindo were dispatched to the neighborhood where the Praters had lived previously. They were to canvass the drugstores and at the same time talk to the neighbors. In talking to the people in the area around the house, we found that the Praters were the subject of constant gossip. We heard tales of violent arguments between the victim and his wife. Several of the quarrels had resulted in the neighbors calling the police to quiet them. Around the neighborhood, we found out that Mrs. Prater had a violent temper and had had several arguments with her husband in the corner bar. According to the bartender, she accused him of running around. He went on to tell us that as far as he knew, nothing was further from the truth. That Alfred Prater loved his home and his son, and that he took to drinking as an excuse to get away from his wife's nagging. 5:20 p.m. Frank and I checked into the office.
Rough day.
Yeah, a lot of legwork.
Not that so much. Just hoping Cenas and Galindo did better than us.
Well, we didn't do too bad. We pretty much proved that what she said about the happy home life wasn't true.
I suppose. Without being able to show they were in possession of the poison, we aren't going to be able to prove much. I got it, Joe.
Yeah.
Homicide, Smith. Yeah, Gil. Mm-hmm. How about that? Yeah, ask him to, huh? Okay. Said what? Yeah, I got it. Right. See you then.
And Cenas?
Yeah, they found the place she bought the poison. Druggist out there remembered her from the description, checked the book, used the name Eileen Peters. Funny thing, though.
Yeah.
When the druggist asked her the address, she gave him the real one. You know, the house they lived in previously?
She said what she wanted the poison for?
Yeah, Gil said the book read to destroy pests.
On the way out to pick up Mrs. Prater, Frank and I outlined the plan for identification. In the event the druggist was unable to give a positive identification, we thought it better if the suspect didn't know she was being observed. This would forestall any embarrassment to the druggist. We arrived at the Prater home and took the suspect into custody. She said that she couldn't understand why we were arresting her, but that she'd be more than happy to go with us to get the thing straightened out. 6:40 p.m. Frank and I talked with Ms. Prater in the interrogation room.
Alfred and I got along perfectly, never a misunderstanding.
Well, your neighbors don't bear that out, Miss Prater.
What?
They said that you two used to fight all the time. Had to call the police a couple of times.
They're busybodies, Mr. Friday, busybodies. They were jealous because Alfred and I were so happy. Once in a while we had a little fuss, but nothing worth mentioning.
How about the police being called, ma'am?
Well, they might have come by when we were playing the radio a little loud, having a party, something like that, but never an argument.
And you said your husband didn't drink any milk the night he died, is that right?
That's right, I did.
Your boy Ray seems to disagree with that. He said that his father did drink some milk, commented on the fact that it tasted bitter.
The little sneak, he's lying, of course, you know that. Wait a minute, you talked to him. He said that his father drank water, like I said. What are you trying to do, cause trouble between me and my son?
No, ma'am.
I should hope not. Poor little kid, father dead, and you're trying to say that I did it, that I killed Ray's father. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Frank?
Yeah, Joe?
It's a little warm in here. You want to open the door for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. That's better. Not too cold on you, is it, Miss Prater?
No.
Miss Prater, did you ever buy any poison for any purpose?
You asked me that before. I told you no then. The answer's the same now.
You're sure that you never bought any poison of any type?
Absolutely.
You ever do any business with a Mr. McLean in your old neighborhood?
McLean? Don't recall the name.
He's a druggist.
No, I always bought from Mr. Swenson, little drugstore in the corner near the house.
Excuse me a minute, will you please? I want to check something down the hall.
Yeah, all right, fine.
Listen, maybe you haven't got anything else to do, but I have. So if you'll get this foolishness over with, I'd like to go home.
Well, we're almost finished, Miss Prater. Just a couple more things.
Well, get 'em over with.
Same one, Joe. He's positive.
Mm-hmm. Miss Prater?
Yes?
Maybe if we lay this thing out for you, it'd be a little better.
Anything to get it over with. I want to go home. I got to get dinner for Ray and Mother.
All right. In the first place, you told us that you and your husband were happy. The neighbors tell us that you fought all the time. The bartender says you used to come in there and raise the roof with your husband. You claimed he was going out with other women. So the part about you and your husband being happy is a lie, isn't it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you said your husband didn't drink any milk for dinner the night he died. Your son says he did.
What's all this about milk, anyway? What's that got to do with it?
Well, according to what your son said, it looks like that's what your husband got the poison in, doesn't it?
Where would I get poison? I didn't buy any. I told you that. You searched the house and the garage. You didn't find any.
We've got the man who sold it to you, Mrs. Prater. He just gave a positive identification.
And Don Meyer, our handwriting man, checked the samples of your handwriting with a signature in the druggist's buy book. They're the same.
You might have wanted to collect on that insurance policy.
Any way you look at it, Miss Prater, the facts point out that you killed your husband.
No, why not admit it?
I didn't want to kill him. I only wanted to make him sick. Just sick, that's all. So he'd stop drinking, stay home a little bit. I didn't want to kill him. Didn't mean it. I didn't want the money. I just wanted him home with me.
That's enough. Frank, you want to call the stenographer?
Yeah, Joe.
You can understand it, can't you, Mr. Friday?
Ma'am?
You can understand it. I thought he was running around. I wanted him home with me and Ray and Mother. A nice little home for Ray. That's all I wanted. Is that wrong? Something nice for Ray. Is that wrong?
Well, I don't know.
What?
What's he got now?
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 13th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, you know best of anyone what you're looking for in a king-size cigarette. So here's all I ask you to do. Try Fatima's and then make up your own mind. If you're looking for an extra mild and soothing smoke and a really different flavor and aroma, then Fatima is the king-size cigarette for you. Ask for Fatima in the bright sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Ellen Adelaide Prater was tried and found guilty of murder in the first degree. She was sentenced to life imprisonment and is now serving her term in the state penitentiary for women. Further investigation proved that the mother-in-law, Mrs. Ruth Atkins, was unaware of the intention of her daughter to kill her husband. She was not connected in any way with the death of Alfred Prater. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, June Whitley, Sammy Ogg, Virginia Gregg. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to burglary detail. In a year's time, a burglar has taken approximately $80,000 in money and jewelry. None of his victims can describe him. Your job, get him.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, July 10th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner is Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Wisdom. My name's Friday. It was 8:02 a.m. when I got to room 45. Burglary. That you, Joe? Yeah. How about that fight last night, huh? Did you see it on Channel 4?
No, I started to watch it. The set went on.
Picture tube?
I don't know, Joe. Picture got all fuzzy and started to wobble. You know, like when an airplane goes over between the set and the train.
Oh, yeah, I know.
The set's been acting up lately. I thought it might be something wrong with the aerial, so I figured I'd take a look at it. Got the ladder out, got up on the roof. Sure enough, one of the wires on the thing was off. Just hanging by a little bit of the rubber coating. Climbed back down to get the wire cutters to fix it. Couldn't find them. Had to use scissors to strip the insulation off the wire. Got the wire all fixed to put back on, then I couldn't find the pliers to get the nut off the aerial.
Looked all through the house, no soap.
What'd you do?
Nothing I could do. Try to get the nut off with the scissors. Broke them. Finally went back into the house and listened to the radio. Fight was over.
Yeah, I only went 4 rounds.
Yeah, I found that out. Got the radio on just when the announcer was giving the last commercial. And Faye and me had a talk.
And then again.
Yeah, I told her I was going to buy a whole new set of tools. The first time I saw the kids with one of them, I was going to raise the roof.
Must have made her happy.
Yeah, it did. Made some remark about them only being kids. Said if I wanted to keep the tools out of their hands, I should put them in a place where they can't reach them. There's only one trouble, Joe.
What's that?
With Mike and Stacy, there isn't such a place.
Figure I know what you mean. It's sure a good fight, though. Too bad you missed it.
Yeah.
Got it, Smith? Yeah, Skipper.
Right here, will you?
Thanks.
Skipper, what's up?
Sit down. Just got a call from the Wilshire Division. That string of burglaries they've had out there.
Mm-hmm.
They can't spare the men to give this thing the time it looks like it's going to take to turn it for. So I'm putting you two on it. And here's all the crime reports on.
Looks like you've been busy. A lot of reports here.
What's he picking?
Money and jewelry.
Mm-hmm. He uses a celluloid strip to get into the houses. Not much unusual about that.
No. According to the reports, he's been hitting around 3:30 to 6 in the afternoon.
Yeah, he evidently rings the bell first to see if there's anybody in the house. And then if there isn't, he uses a celluloid to open the door. Goes through the house and then leaves by the back door.
What's this bit here about the glass of milk?
Well, that's the one part of his M.O. that's new. It seems every place he goes into, he has a glass of milk before he leaves.
Any prints on the glass?
I haven't found any yet. Seems to wipe the glass clean before he leaves.
Stats office come up with anything on the M.O.?
Nothing that hasn't been checked out. The leads they gave us didn't go anyplace.
How about the victims? Any of them ever see the guy?
No, not good. A couple of them have caught glimpses of him leaving the house. Didn't realize at the time that he'd just come from their place.
How about a description?
Everybody that's seen him tells a different story. Some have him tall and thin, others have him short and husky. Some have him dark, others light. Anybody's guess.
Oh, that makes it easy, huh?
You been working in one area, Skipper?
Yeah, according to those reports, he works around in here. Here. From Wilshire to Pico on the south, La Brea to Robertson on the west.
A lot of areas, Skipper.
Yeah.
How about help?
Much as you need. Metro will give you as many men as they can spare. Said you could probably count on 10 teams.
Well, we should be able to patrol the area pretty well with them.
Be it more than one place a day?
Yeah. Sometimes 3 or 4. Depends on how much time it takes them to go through a place.
And he never works later than 6 o'clock.
No, not that we know.
Pretty smart. More people on the streets that time of day, less likely to be noticed.
That's probably the way he figures it.
I still don't think I get this milk thing here.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Do you have it every place he goes?
Seems to. The owner comes home and finds all the money and jewelry in the place gone and an empty glass on the table in the living room.
Living room?
Yeah, in the living room. Evidently pours the milk right after he gets into the house and carries it around with him while he works. Finishes it up before he leaves. Boys from Wilshire found those rings, you know, when you put a glass down on the table.
Yeah, I know.
Found them all over the house.
I haven't found any prints at all, huh?
No, Leighton Prince has gone over the places completely. Everything they found has a right to be there. Belongs to the family or friend.
$80,000. How about the pawn shop detail? They turn up anything?
No, nothing. None of the jewelry's turned up as far as we can tell.
Looks like a gem, huh?
It is. It's all yours.
All right. We'll get started on it right away.
You two stay on this until you clean it up.
Right, Skipper.
Any ideas where you're going to start?
Well, only one place, the neighborhood where he works.
Yeah?
We don't know him. Maybe he'll come to us. Frank and I went over the reports. In general, the operation was the usual type. Use of a celluloid strip to enter a house wasn't new. The suspect operated during those times when detection was least likely. He never operated in the rain. All in all, with the exception of the milk drinking, the case could have been 100 others. Frank and I spent the rest of the afternoon talking to the victims who had seen the burglar. They were all sure that the man they'd seen was the one we wanted, but their description varied from each other. All the victims had been shown mug books, but failed to identify the suspect. We called Metro Division and asked them to give us as many radio units as possible to cover the area. They assigned 10 cars to the detail. Frank and I covered the entire area in our car. Wednesday, September 5th. 2 months had passed, during which time the burglar hit only 2 houses. In spite of the heavy patrol action in the area, he got away safely in both instances. 5:45 p.m.
Looks like another day shot, huh?
Yeah, another 15 minutes to go.
Well, one thing anyway, he's calmed down, Joe. He's going to make 100,000 this year.
Wait a minute, Frank.
Yeah?
Up ahead there on the left, White House.
Yeah, I can see him.
Pull over here. We'll walk down it.
Right.
Come on, you get on my side.
All right. Still working.
Yeah, probably a double lock on that door, huh? Celluloid won't work there. Having a little trouble, mister?
Huh?
Looks like you're having a little trouble getting that door open.
Oh, yeah, I lost the key. You police officers?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, happy to know you're on the job, protecting my house and all. Sure appreciate it.
Wonder if we can see your identification.
I beg your pardon?
Your identification? Wonder if we can see it.
Well, what's the matter? Don't you believe me that I live in this house?
We'd just like to see your ID. Nothing wrong with you showing it to us, is there?
Oh, of course not. Gee, looks like I left my wallet in the house.
What's that gadget you were trying to get into the house with there?
Oh, this? A piece of celluloid. I read about it someplace. I happen to have it.
Mm-hmm. Turn around, will you, toward the street?
Yeah, sure. What do you want?
What's the address of the house you live in?
The address?
Yes, sir.
You guys still don't believe I live here, do you?
The address, what is it?
1200 block in Allendale.
What's your name?
Anderson? Jack Anderson.
Maybe you can explain why the name of the mailbox is Radcliffe, huh?
Well, yeah, sure I can explain. You see, I'm just visiting here. Summer vacation, just out here a couple of weeks.
All right, Mr. Stand still.
Hey, wait a minute. What's going on? You got no right to
stand still. How about this wallet? Is it yours?
Yeah. Oh, come on, give it back.
Let's take a look here. You said your name was Anderson, is that right?
Well, yeah, but I can explain that.
Yeah, I hope so. It's going to be a little involved, though.
Well, what's wrong?
Two things. Wrong house and wrong identification. Frank and I took the suspect back to the city hall for interrogation. Although he gave us the name Jack Anderson, all his identification bore the name Robert Red Neal. We ran the name through R&I. Neal had several previous arrests on burglary charges. According to the record, there were no wants on him at the time. 6:20 p.m. Frank and I questioned Neal.
All right, Neal, come on off it.
Okay, so you know I don't live in the house. It looks like one I do live in. I just made a mistake, that's all. They build all these houses out here so they look alike.
Now, look, Neal, don't ask us to believe that one.
I'm not asking you to believe anything but the truth, and I'm telling you that.
Sure. Now, what about your record?
Well, what about it?
A lot of burglary charges.
All right, I did a little time. Now, what's that prove? I'm going straight now.
You still can't come up with a story to tell why you were trying to get into that house.
I told you, I thought it belonged to a friend of mine.
What's his name?
I don't remember.
You like milk, Neal?
Huh?
You like milk?
Look, I don't get this. What are you trying to prove?
Just answer the question. Do you like milk?
I can take it or leave it alone. I'm a big boy now. Sometimes I drink coffee.
How long have you been in town, Neal?
A couple of weeks. Why?
Where were you before you got here?
Up north.
Where up north?
Down Sacramento.
What'd you do up there?
A few odd jobs. Look, if you guys are going to book me, then do it. Let's get this yak over.
A couple of things we want to settle first, Neal.
What?
How long were you up north?
I guess it's been about 6-7 months.
7 months. You got any way of proving that?
Look, why should I have to prove anything? You guys figure you got a rap you can stick me with? Okay, try it. Book me in.
Look, don't press, Neal. Can you prove you're up north for the last 7 months?
Yeah, it shouldn't be any trouble at all.
Who do we talk to?
The sheriff up there, he had me in the can.
After waiting for 2 months, the one suspect we were able to turn had an alibi that we couldn't shake. Frank and I went back to rolling stakeout. The burglaries continued. Evidently, the burglar was getting more and more reckless. The police cars in the area were acting as less of a deterrent to his activities. In 2 weeks, he looted 16 homes. A week of bad weather brought his operation to a standstill, but as soon as the rain cleared, he went back to work. Tuesday, October 9th, we got a call from an elderly woman who said that she had information regarding the burglaries. Frank and I drove over to talk to her.
Won't you sit down, officers?
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Miss Blair, you said on the phone that you had something to tell us about the burglary.
Yes, I have. Would you like a little something to eat? Sandwich, coffee? I just took some cookies out of the oven. Maybe you'd like some of those and a glass of milk.
No, ma'am. Thanks just the same. Now, could you just tell us what you know, please?
Well, I feel a little silly about it, officer. At first, I didn't think I'd say anything about it, but then I got to thinking. I figured it might be better if I did tell you.
Yes, ma'am.
It's about the burglaries, you know.
Yes, ma'am. That's what you said on the phone.
Phone? Oh, yes. You mean when I called you?
Yes, I'd like. Now, if you'd please tell us what it is that you have here.
Of course. I guess I'm just being a coward about it, not telling you right out, but when you hear the whole story, you'll understand.
Yes, ma'am.
You see, I went out to the store yesterday afternoon and had a sale on frozen foods down at the supermarket. Wonderful bargains. Fruit juice at 12 cents a can. Prices on vegetables where you just wouldn't believe it.
We understand that, ma'am. Now, how about the burglaries?
Oh, yes. Well, I went to the market about 2:30. That's when I left the house. Normally, I meet my husband after work and he brings me home. Only yesterday he didn't. He had some work to do at his office. He's in real estate.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, yesterday he didn't bring me home. I caught a ride with that nice Mrs. Coddington. Lived 2 doors down. She brought me home yesterday. I got here about 3:45. Remember looking at the mantel clock when I came in? That one there.
Yes, ma'am.
Clock has always kept perfect time. Wedding present. Lovely thing.
Yes, ma'am. It's very nice.
Isn't it so? The gold work on the face.
Ma'am, we don't like to be rude, but if you just tell us what you know about the burglaries.
Well, certainly. You see, I came into the house, and there he was.
No?
The burglar. There he was in the hall, drinking a glass of milk. Such a nice-looking boy. Just stood there for a minute drinking the milk.
Well, what'd he do when he saw you?
He put the milk down on the telephone table, and then he started to run to the back door. I told him to stop.
Did he?
Not at first. Then I told him that my husband was out in back, out in the garage. He stopped in.
Go on, man.
I asked him what he was doing in my house.
What did he say?
Nothing, really. He just stammered around, said that maybe he'd made a mistake. I told him that I guess he had, breaking into somebody's house. Just terrible, officer. Like to scared the wits out of me.
Yes, ma'am.
I started to tell him how he should be ashamed of himself for stealing from other people. I really told him. I said, you know, we haven't got that much that we can have people like you come in here and steal. Then I picked up the phone and started to call the police. That's when he started to cry.
He started to cry?
Yes, just like a little boy. Put his hands up to his face and the tears just streamed down his cheeks.
What happened then, Mrs. Blair?
Well, when I saw him cry, he looked so small, like such a little boy, that I went over to him and comforted him.
You didn't get in touch with the police, ma'am?
Well, no. Oh, I suppose I should have, but I didn't. When I got the boy calmed down, he told me that he didn't know what he'd do if his family found out about it. He told me about his mother and how she died when he was just a baby and how his sister raised him. He said she was just a couple of years older than him. I asked about his father, and he said that his father was a drunk, that he had to bring in what money the family needed. Said that his sister was sick, bad heart, and that the shock of his being arrested to kill her. Well, now, I asked the officers, what could I do?
Well, what did you do, Miss Blair?
I told him to sit down. I wanted to talk to him. We went out in the kitchen, and I asked him if he was hungry. You know, growing boy and all. I thought he might like a sandwich or something.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he didn't want anything to eat, but he said he would like a glass of milk, so I poured him one.
You said that you'd talked with him?
Yes, I thought that maybe I could talk him out of continuing this way, stealing. I asked him if he had a job, something to earn an honest living.
Yes, ma'am.
He told me that he'd tried to find work after school, but anything he'd get just didn't pay him enough. He tried to get along on the money, but it just wasn't enough. Medicine for his sister and all. Then there was his father, horrible man.
Well, what did he say about his father?
Oh, he told me all about him, how he drinks and causes trouble, spends what little money they have on liquor.
This boy tell you his name, ma'am?
Not at first. He said he didn't want me to turn him in. I told him that I wouldn't, and then he said he was Bob Allison.
Did he tell you where he lived?
Not exactly. Said someplace out on East Los Angeles. I got the idea that he wasn't too proud of his home. Can't say I blame him.
How about a description, ma'am, what he looked like?
Well, now let me think. Well, I'd say he was young, about 17, maybe 18. Such a young man to be doing something like this.
How tall would you say he was, ma'am?
Tall?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess as tall as you are. Maybe just a teeny bit taller.
That'd make him about 6 feet?
Yes, I guess so.
How about his build, ma'am?
Oh, nice, broad shoulders. You got no idea how I felt when I thought about this boy being a thief. It's terrible.
Yes, ma'am. So would you say he was heavy or slight? About how much would you say he weighed?
No, I'm bad at guessing people's weight. It'd be difficult to say.
Well, ma'am, would you say he was as heavy as I am?
Yes, about your weight.
How about the color of his hair?
Light, nice blonde hair. He had a little wave right here in front, blue eyes. Looked like such a little boy when he cried.
Yes, ma'am. Was there anything unusual about him that you might have noticed? Scars, moles, anything like that?
No, not a thing.
How about the way he talked? Anything unusual there, maybe?
Sorry.
How about his clothes, Mrs. Blair? How was he dressed?
A pair of slacks, a white shirt, and no tie. A button was missing from his shirt. Poor boy probably hasn't got anyone to take care of his clothes. Had on a school sweater. You know, the kind that the seniors get when they're going to graduate? Has the initial of a school on it and no stripes on the sleeve.
Yes, ma'am. What was the initial on the sweater?
Well, there wasn't one. It had been taken off. I could tell that there had been one, though, because a few of the threads were still in the wool.
How about the color of the sweater?
Brown, a dark brown with yellow stripes.
Now, Miss Blair.
Yes?
The glass of milk that the boy drank from the glass, has it been washed yet?
I thought you'd ask about that. No, I stepped aside for you.
You have it now, ma'am?
Yes, it's in the kitchen. My husband said you'd want it. He was hopping mad when he heard about it, just about raised the roof right off the house.
I wonder if we could see that glass.
Well, of course. It's right out here in the kitchen.
Fine.
There it is on the drain board.
Anybody touched it since the boy?
No, I don't think so. My husband might have, but I don't think he did. He was quite adamant about me not washing it until you came.
Now, Miss Blair, this happened last night. How was it you waited until this morning to report it?
Well, at first I believed the boy. Really thought that it was just circumstances that made him steal. I felt so sorry for him when he broke down and cried. Right here, leave him. Give him every chance. And I let him go. I thought that it would make you do some good. So it was a new beginning. When I told my husband about it, like I said, he was pretty sore. Talked about the young thief. We never had any children of our own, and I felt so sorry for the boy. I guess my husband couldn't understand. When Bob, that's his name. When Bob said he was sorry, I believed him and let him go. Just let him walk right out of the house. My husband got home and I told him. He said to call you. I tried to talk to Sam. That's my husband. Make him understand, but he insisted. And then this morning, of course, I agreed with him, and so I called you.
Well, why was that, Mac?
Bob stole my watch.
Stop giving the bank your money. Stop it. If you think you're paying a high interest rate on your home loan, call Coastal Mortgage today, and they'll help you figure out how you can lower your monthly payment. When you buy a car, do you ask the salesperson if you can pay more than the sticker price? So why should you pay more than you have to on your home loan? Let an experienced broker represent you before more than 70 lending institutions, and you'll be assured the best possible rate and program. Imagine what you can do each month with the money you'll save. Just call Coastal Mortgage at 949-833-9144, and they'll walk you through a very simple process. There's no risk, because if they can't lower your interest rate, you're not obligated to take the loan. Call Coastal Mortgage right now at 949-833-9144 and speak to a qualified loan representative. That's 949-833-9144, 949-833-9144.
Finding out you or a loved one has cancer is never easy. It's natural to be afraid when faced with the decision of choosing a cancer treatment. For many cancer patients, fear of the treatment is almost as bad as the cancer itself. The Proton Treatment Center at Loma Linda University Medical Center is the result of 4 decades of leading-edge cancer research and treatment. Opened in 1990, the Proton Treatment Center offers a non-surgical procedure that is superior to traditional radiation therapy in a number of ways. Proton therapy is so precise, there is little or no damage to surrounding tissue. This results in minimal side effects, and most patients experience no disruption in their daily activities. In fact, proton therapy is offered as an outpatient procedure. Call 1-800-PROTONS for a free information packet and videotape explaining the benefits of proton therapy. 1-800-PROTONS. The Proton Treatment Center at Loma Linda University Medical Center. 1-800-PROTONS.
KNX 1070 News Radio.
11:45 a.m. Frank and I went back to the office. We ran the name Bob and Robert Allison through R&I. There was no record on anyone answering his description. We got out a local broadcast and an APB on him. Mrs. Blair went over the mug books but was unable to identify the boy. Frank got in touch with the Board of Education and asked for the name of the school using the colors brown and gold. They told him that it would take a little time to check, but that they'd call us back. We notified the cars from Metro of the new developments and gave them the description of the boy. A check of the phone books for the name netted us nothing. Latent prints were sent out to the home of Enid Blair to get the fingerprints of she and her husband. In checking over the empty glass found in the Blair home, besides the prints of Mr. and Mrs. Blair, Dean Bergman came up with a partial unidentified print. It was not enough for classification, but he told us that if we turned the burglar, he could tell us if we had the right man or not. 4:30 p.m. Frank and I cruised the area the burglar had been working in. We were in constant contact with the other 10 cars in the field.
So you're still working in this neighborhood, Joe?
Well, we got no choice till we hear otherwise.
Funny about the Blair woman, isn't it?
What?
You know, turning the kid loose. Sure must have put on a show.
Yeah, sure. What time you got?
4:38. Got another hour and a half.
Frank?
Yeah, Joe.
Up ahead there in the corner?
Yeah, brown sweater could be.
All right, let's go.
He sees us making a break through that yard, then. Come on.
All right, hold it up there.
He isn't stopping.
What about that garage?
I'll try and head him off.
All right, watch it.
Joe, you see him?
No, we missed him someplace. Better get back to the car.
Right.
I'll call in here.
All right.
Unit 1K80 to Unit 2R1. Unit 1K80 to Unit 2R1. Come in, please.
2R1 to 1K80.
Suspect WMA, 17 to 19 years old, wearing tan trousers and brown and gold sweater, fleeing on foot. Last seen going east on Chalmers Drive at corner of Spalding Avenue. Please block at Chalmers and Hayworth. Repeat, please block at Chalmers and Hayworth.
Roger, 1K80.
Unit 2R7, come in, please.
Unit 2R7, 1K80, go ahead.
You get the description all right?
Yeah.
Want to cover Barrows Drive and Hayes Street? Repeat, Barrows Drive and Hayes Street. Over.
Roger, 1K80.
Units 2R2, 2R3, 2R4, 2R5, and 2R6 converge on area adjacent to Chalmers and Spalding. Repeat, converge on corner of Chalmers and Spalding. Unit 2R20 will direct operations. 1K80 out. It's locked in. Let's fight. We knew the suspect was in the blockaded area. With the units from Metro Division blocking the street, there was no escape for him. Frank and I walked down Spalding Avenue. Down the street, we could see Unit 2R20 getting into position. Sergeant Masters was directing the operation from there. The search went on. 6:40 p.m. We still hadn't found him. At each house, we notified the people to be on the lookout for the suspect. In the event they saw him, they were instructed to call police headquarters. They, in turn, would contact Sergeant Masters and appropriate action could be taken. 7:10 p.m. We just about covered the entire area.
What do you figure, Joe?
I could have gotten out. Got to be in here someplace.
2 more blocks to go, not much cover.
Figured he hasn't been sitting still. He's probably been moving, too.
Yeah. How about that garage back there?
Check it.
Big place, Joe. Looks like a workshop.
Yeah.
Wonder who it belongs to.
Well, imagine that house over there, don't you? That's where the wires lead. Look at that. Here, what's this? Broken padlock.
This must be where he is.
Not easy. Young fella, come on out.
What do you think?
There's no other door. Come on. All right, come on, boy. Give it up. We know you're in here.
How about the lights, Joe?
Yeah, I got them.
Bigger inside than it looks. Dozen places he could be hiding.
Yeah, you want to check over there, back of those legs? I'll take this side.
Right. Don't send him over here. How about you?
No. How about that balcony up there? The wooden paint cans up there?
Yeah. Somebody could hide up there.
All right, I'll take a look.
Take it easy, Joe.
Yeah. All right, give it up, fella. You got no place to go.
Watch it, Joe. The paint cans.
Let me go.
Frank.
Yeah, Joe, I got it. Get away. Get away.
All right, watch it, Frank.
I see.
Come here, you.
I didn't mean to cut him. I told you to leave me alone. I told you.
All right, come on, get up, you. How about it, Frank? You all right?
Oh, Joe, just a cut, isn't there?
All right.
Let me go. I didn't mean it. I got scared. I didn't mean it. I don't know what I'll do if my family finds out.
Yeah, sure. You going to tell us about your sister, the one who was sick, and your drunken father?
Huh?
Well, are we going to get the full treatment here, the same one you gave Miss Blair?
She told you, huh?
Yeah, she told us. What's your name, boy?
Akins. Robert Akins. Guess you got me tagged for the jobs, huh?
Yeah, we got you tagged.
Lousy deal. I thought for sure I had her figured. Crummy deal all the way around. Never should have started it. All I got was a lot of cheap jewelry and a little money.
What do you mean, cheap jewelry? Our reports show you got a little better than 80,000.
80,000? That's a laugh. A lot of costume junk, a little money. 80,000. Somebody's been giving you a snow job. When I didn't throw away, I still got cheap costume junk, that's all.
All right, Akins, let's go.
Yeah. Should have known not to trust that Blair woman. Should have known. I was caught before, you know, a couple of times.
All right.
Yeah, a couple of times. They let me go. Started to cry. Getting that story about my sister. They let me go. It was the crying that really did it, though. As soon as I started to boil, they turned me loose. Good gimmick, huh, crying?
Yeah, sure. Don't try it on the jury. It won't work.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
Robert Charles Aiken was filed on and found guilty of 12 counts of second-degree burglary. He was released to the Youth Authority for parolement and possible rehabilitation.
Ladies and gentlemen, lightning starts a few forest fires every year. But careless people cause many, many more. This shameful waste of one of our greatest natural resources weakens America. This weekend, if you picnic or camp out, please be careful with fire. Be very sure your campfire is really out before you leave it. Remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, June Whitley, Jack Crucian. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney.